Everyone, and welcome into another episode of Game Over, another week of GDQ Hotfix Speedruns. I am your host, Regal, again here on Game Over. Game Over is a show where we like to put on speedruns that are of games that are either known for their high level or for games that are being played on a higher difficulty level than normal. And on tonight's show, we have two really cool runs by two really great runners. The first of which is going to be a very interesting game, one that I have recently played myself, and I'm very excited to see a run of it on Hotfix. It's going to be Clair Obscur Expedition 33, any percent glitchless on the expert difficulty, run by Zero Elite. That's going to be the first run that we're going to have up. And then after that, we're also going to have a run by Mitch Riz, who's going to be running Get to Work Glitchless. But first, we're going to throw it over to Zero Elite, who's going to do an introduction for Clair Obscur. Zero, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. My name's Zero. I will be running this game, as you said, and I have Bidu joining me on commentary here.
Hello. It's it's good to be here. Been trying to follow and up with Zero's routing, trying to keep up every week with it, and it's fun to do runs in this game, really is.
So, for anyone that hasn't played this game, it's kind of like a take on JRPG, except a bit more action-oriented. Get dodging, parrying, story's amazing, music's amazing. Anyone that hasn't played it, I highly recommend it.
It's very good.
Yeah. Game of the year, in my opinion. Maybe, it's my favorite game all time at the moment, so...
Wow.
And that's a big compliment. Wow. So anyway, we'll be getting started soon. I will count us down, but timing will start when the screen fades to black from here. So we select expert, disable tutorials, nothing too special here. And I will start in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. We will be needing it. There, sadly, is some luck involved. But, alright, we start off in the prologue. And we meet our main character here, Gustav. And it's a man right here, voiced by Charlie Cox. Also known as Daredevil.
Alright, let's go. I'll accompany you there. Are you ready to see her again?
This game has had amazing voice actors all around. It's an amazing cast.
Very true. So we start off in the town of Lumiere. This is where we grew up, and in the prologue there isn't much in terms of gameplay, at least in the speedrun, but there's a lot of world building exposition. We'll try to cover some of it. But here we meet Mayel. She's 16 years old. She's an orphan in this game, and she kind of takes care of other orphans in the town. She's kind of like Gustav's sister/daughter almost. And she will be one of the main characters. But we're a bit nervous about meeting our ex-girlfriend for the first time in 4 years. And she decides to calm us down a little bit by having a duel. So this will be our introduction to the battle system in this game. So here we're going to want to parry that.
Yeah, so for people that haven't played Expedition, it's turn-based RPG, but it involves a lot of dodging and parrying involved, so... especially for a run like this, on expert difficulty, there's going to be a lot of mastering the move sets and trying to know exactly when we need to dodge, parry, and or not to parry even, because sometimes counterattacks can be slow. So, right there for that first fight, we only needed to parry that first attack, and then we were able to charge enough for Gustav's special ability, the overcharge. And that was going to do enough damage where we didn't even need to do an extra counterattack on that second move, and we could just finish the fight with that overcharge ability. So, lots of situational cases when you need to figure out when you need to parry or not need to parry.
So, every character in this game kind of has their own unique battle mechanic. Gustav's is charge, where essentially he can build up charge by dodging, parrying, or doing skills and attacks. And his overcharge will do more damage based off how much charge you have. It goes up to, it's between 0 and 10. A lot of the early game fights will revolve around building that charge up and using it effectively. And we'll cover other characters' mechanics as we go along. Battle system in general, so in the bottom right might notice these blue bars. That's our AP. AP lets us use skills pretty much, each skill has an AP cost. You can build AP like naturally once per turn. Every time you get your turn, you build 1 AP. Additionally, when you attack, you build an extra AP. And when you parry a move, you also build 1 AP. And there's other things like skill or passive stuff that you can equip later that you can use to build AP, but we'll cover that later when we get to it. We also do have items in this game we can use. It actually has a very unique combat item system, in my opinion, where there's only 3 items, and you get them unlocked right away, pretty much. There's a heal, there's a energy tint, which gives you AP, and there's a revive, which hopefully we'll never have to use. And there's also skip, which we will be using sometimes. So, story-wise, today is the day of the Gommage. We haven't really talked too much about the plot, and we probably won't as the run goes on. We'll mention things here and there, just how time allows it. But, the Gommage is a central point in the plot. Pretty much every year,
Let's at least check on my elf.
a certain amount of people in the world get erased and disappear into these flower petals, essentially. And it's based off the number on the monolith in the distance. The paintress paints a new number onto the monolith every year, and anyone that's that age at the time is erased from existence. So the year just got turned from 34 to 33, and the character we were just running with, Sophie, Gustav's ex, she got erased.
Yeah.
And obviously the people of Lumiere know that this is a bad thing and they need to survive, so every year they send out an expedition to try to stop the paintress from painting and hopefully save Lumiere. So we will... Oh, oops. That's not right.
Some extra content here.
But yeah, we don't want to do that.
Accident.
I have actually never done that in the run before. Classic American.
Oh, I've done it plenty in a run before.
That's funny.
Okay, the reason I did that, like obviously unintentionally, is because you can do a little text skip if you position your mouse cursor correctly, and for some reason it just ignored my mouse position. So that's why that happened. I'm just gonna do it normally now. We'll just not risk that again. Oh yeah, also this game does have a cutscene skip. And for the people that don't like text mash, you might notice at the bottom of the text box, there's this white line that goes across. Once that white line hits that little triangle, you can actually skip text, so you don't have to mash. You can mash, but you can just time it. Yes. That's like my favorite quality of light in this game, in terms of speedrunning.
Yeah, me too. I feel like it really helps play into the fact of like, you know, you need to time parries and dodges too. Like you're trying to time the dialogue
trying
text
to
too.
Parry the dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
Thank you for the good lucks in chat. And for the mouse on the other monitor, that happens to be quite a bit too in this game. Sadly, this game can be a little wonky with like keyboard mouse, especially if you're using both. And I will sometimes use keyboard. I primarily play on the PS3 controller. But there will be times, generally for dialogue or mashing just normal attack, where it's faster if you dual mash. Sometimes you even want to position your mouse a certain way, so that'll happen sometimes, and it can lead to some weird moments. So here we got our first Nevron fight. Fight's pretty simple. We hit his weak point there with the like blue orb. A lot of enemies will have like spots you can shoot that do extra damage. Some will be a one-off where you hit them once and they're popped and you don't do it again. And some they'll just take like maybe 50% more damage if you hit a certain spot. Shooting's generally weak, and we won't be using it all that much. It takes 1 AP, and it like the damage is like 1/10 of attack or something. But it is good for those mechanics, and it will get used. Especially more so early on to take advantage of those unique mechanics that come up later and later in terms of the fights we do for like bosses later on.
Yeah, it's really nice when we, and you'll see this in the future, but we'll be utilizing every little bit of our AP as we go about. So, like, if we have 1 or 2 extra AP that we can use, we'll use it for just extra damage or hitting those weak points, you know? So...
This upcoming fight is a great example. Also, I unironically think that this guy attacking the expedition is the hardest attack to parry in the whole game.
it kind of is low-key difficult.
Yeah, at least in the speedrun, obviously, and like casual, not so true. But in this run, in my opinion, it's the hardest move. Alright, we don't have to deal with it. Nice. So, obviously there's a learning curve to, like, learning all these attack patterns and parries. A lot of them I just memorize certain cues. Like, for example, for that attack there, I look for when his feet touch the ground. And that's when I parry. And a lot of it will come down to learning. I do have public notes available, and they will mention a lot of these things. It's not perfect, but it's hard to describe a lot of it into words. But it's there. But I feel like everybody has their own reaction times and, like, see things a little bit differently, so... For anyone that, like, wants to run this game, it's just about, like, finding the cues that are good for you.
Yeah, what I like about this game is that it has, it's not just one cue, like, you have a lot of cues, like, I used to, when I started out with this game, I would just look at visual cues, but as you go along, you realize that the game heavily favors audio cues as well. Sometimes they use them in conjunction, and then there's also going to be rhythm cues. And yeah, like, being able to utilize all those cues together make it just flow so well and builds up the consistency when you're trying to speedrun these fights.
Also, controller pain right here. It's so hard to aim with controller sometimes.
The amount of times I've missed these weak points is too many to count.
Same. And these guys, like, reel back after you miss it, and it takes, like, 2 seconds for them to reset. Or a second, maybe. So you really want to be accurate the first time, or you just bleed more.
I have a question.
By all means.
How precise are the parries in this game?
Is that?
So, an expert and expeditioner, it's like a 0.22 second window, and a dodge is like a 0.35 second window, I believe. Somewhere around there. But on story, it's like 40% or 50% more. And additionally, a lot of moves have like slowdown frames to them. And those slowdown frames count towards like the parry timing. So early game or during the slowdowns, it can be quite a bit easier than that window.
Interesting. So like you actually have a longer window if it's like a slowdown attack.
Yes. This fight right here is a great example.
Okay.
Because they slow down a ton.
You know, I always was wondering about that because some of the attacks it felt a little more forgiving than others.
Yeah, they definitely are. That poor deer earlier is not one of them. Well, you can see right there. That guy slows down a lot when he attacks. No, some bad targeting here. So these guys are like at least half a second. Also got a little unlucky here. I need like I need 5 AP on Gustav to defeat that guy. And he never got targeted, so I never built up the AP required, so we just have to skip turn and do it with Lume. To answer the question as to why I don't aim with mouse, it's because I'm bad at switching. If I was really good, I'd get the hang of it and just like do some fights on keyboard, mouse, some on controller. But I really prefer playing on controller, and I'm just like I'm not comfortable with it yet, so I just do controller.
I'm the same way.
Someone came here before and said
I like my speedruns being comfy. Once I'm ready to like really grind it out, I'll do both a bit more properly. But
for me, doing longer sessions on keyboard and mouse is a little uncomfortable for me.
Same. I don't think I've run any games before that are primarily keyboard mouse. In fact, I don't think I've run any games that require any keyboard mouse besides this game. So it's just a comfort thing.
Flares.
Survivors.
Also, we didn't really mention the category. Expert's a little bit straightforward, but the glitchless part might not be. I mean, obviously it's glitchless, but some things are allowed. Like you can't go out of bounds, but you can take some unintended paths. So it's primarily in this section of the run in Spring Meadows, but we do some jumps that like cut off some time. Earlier on, instead of going through the house, we jumped onto our right and then picked up some stuff. And here we can cut like 2 seconds by making that jump to that energy picto.
Yeah, so anything that's like considered inbound is still pretty much legal, but yeah, compared to what you might see for regular any percent, there's like crazy out of bounds and like wrong warping stuff. So the inbound stuff that we do is pretty minor in comparison.
Yeah, this game is actually incredibly broken.
It is.
It's surprising for a game made in this year. But to be fair, it doesn't break in any way that matters casually. So casually you won't notice. It's just the speedrunners really put in work in breaking this game.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah. You don't need to be competitive. To answer that question, you don't need to do mouse and keyboard to be competitive. They both have their pros and cons. I do use both on PC, but it's fine to do either.
I'll do it. Dodge
So we're up to our first boss of the run, and this boss is a nightmare to us expert glitchless runners because it deals with a lot of RNG. So what Zero is going to do here is he's going to start off the fight with Gustav there applying powerful, and he broke off the shields. And then Luna is going to apply burn to have Avec take burn damage every time. We're trying to deal enough damage to get his health a little bit over halfway by the third turn, because we're relying on basically a coin flip crit chance of dealing like over just about half the health of Avec here in one turn on the last turn that we have powerful on. So if we don't hit the crit chance, it's gonna kind of add an extra minute to the fight. So this boss is reset heavy.
Yeah, this is the first reset point of the run, pretty much. Obviously, won't be doing that here, but... additionally, we have some extra challenges in Expert Land, because the EXP route's really tight, and you get more EXP if you don't kill the guys on the side. So if I don't get the kill, I'll have to bleed more time to their attacks, versus I could have just killed them before, with like the previous EXP routes. So we do have enough damage, we got him under half, and we built up enough charge for Gustav, which is something else that you have to contend with here. So it's all just this 48% chance of whether or not I crit.
40% chance. Okay.
You gonna get it?
48, just worse than coin flip.
Oh, we got it!
Oh,
let's go.
Nice.
Yo!
I did 2 practice runs last night, I didn't get it either time, so this is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, let's go. That makes up for the mishap in the tutorial earlier.
Yeah, definitely. That was like at least 45 seconds if you don't get it, roughly. So
yeah.
Pretty big
and I don't know if we mentioned it, but by being on expert difficulty, that boss has 87% more health than on like story. So it's like much more important, especially this early on when we can't do it much more setup for ourselves, for us to really get that extra damage out. Yeah, no other category will lose as much time to that boss as we do.
That leads me into another question, if you don't mind. Can you explain all the like differences between like the highest difficulty versus like the other difficulties in this game?
Yeah. So story and expeditioner share kind of like the same health bar, like the same health amount for every enemies. But you'll deal basically on experts. Each enemy will have 87.5% health. I believe that's correct.
I think it depends on which enemy. There's like different scalings on enemy, I think.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's about double as much like damage that we have to do. The parry windows and the dodge windows are a lot tighter on experts. I know in the last patch that they even made the windows much easier for story. So it's like it ends up being pretty tight on experts. And then, of course, you take more damage as well. But yeah, in terms of routing efforts, it's definitely about like just being able to deal more damage for that health bar.
Okay.
Yeah, the parry windows make things more lenient, obviously, but in terms of routing, you either parry it or you don't either way. So it doesn't change that aspect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That makes sense.
So this is we've taken quite a few optional fights. This is another one of those. Generally, we just take him for EXP early on. For Avec, we needed to get level 3 to get the like fastest possible fight. So the fights we took are generally some of the quickest ones, and they also give us some drops. The first one we did with the 2 Lanceliers that gave us the Lanceram for Gustav, which is like 20 more attack. Second one gave Une the Lighterman, which is like 5 more attack. We would have gotten it anyway, it's not necessary, but that fight just happens to be really fast. But the goal is to get level 3 before Vex, so we can learn 2 skills of Gustav, and of course get more stats. And we want level 7 for Gabu, the next boss, with Gustav and Lune before we get there. And the EXP route has recently changed on that, it got a lot tighter. So it's really important that we don't miss anything. I haven't mentioned it yet, but you do get a 20% bonus EXP if you don't get hit during fights. So very important we don't get hit too much later on, but especially early on. We can't really tank any hits, or our EXP route gets messed up.
There was a message at the indigo tree.
We also have... Would you mind explaining Pictos for me, dude, while I menu?
Yep. So Pictos are going to give us a lot of extra benefits. So usually they have a special ability tied to them that will improve a certain aspect, but they will also have like certain stat increases. So like some will have like increased speed or crit chance. So we specifically put a lot of Pictos on Mael right now to kind of increase her crit chance, but then we also have to play into like be aware of like how that's affecting our speed and stuff. So right there, when we flagged and kind of like adjusted our attributes, we had to adjust them because we can upgrade our attributes at the flag, adjust them to what we already know we're going to put on as Pictos on Mael. Yeah. And we, at that flag, we also learned the ability, like the skill for Mael to learn Swift Stride and Wildfire with Lune, which is going to come in handy later, especially for getting Mael into Virtuous State for Goblu. Virtuous State on Mael, like that's her special ability. You know how we talked about Gustav like building up charges for overcharge. Mael's skill is like stances, so she has like offensive stance and virtuous stance. Offensive stance gives you like a 50% damage buff, and then virtuous stance is like it's like 200%. Yeah, it's quite a big difference.
Yeah. And does have the downside of offensive also making you take increased damage, which doesn't matter for us because we either get hit or we don't, and if we get hit while on expert we're probably dead anyway. But the goal is Virtuoso. Virtuoso is super strong.
That's such a cool aspect to this game. Is like you can reasonably just get through unscathed.
Yeah, you can definitely just go hitless. We don't go hitless, by the way. We will we'll get there, but we intentionally get hit sometimes.
Who could have done this?
More than
so that fight that we just did there for Noko, that was actually an optional fight. But we take the time lost there to do it because by fighting him, he unlocks a certain Picto that we can unlock from the shop, which is exposing attack, and it becomes very, very useful for the entirety of the run. Basically, if we put it on somebody, they can apply Defenseless on their base attack, and Defenseless is basically debuffing an enemy to take 25% more damage to whatever you do for them, but only for one turn. So it means that you kind of need a party member to apply that debuff at the start of a turn, and then have another party member play after them before the enemy gets the chance to attack. So by utilizing that, we can deal more damage, but it makes it so that our speed and turn order has to be very perfect across this run.
Yeah, we go for some pretty precise stats. It's like if we make a small mistake on our menus and things get thrown off, it can get really dicey in terms of fight strats. So this took a while to route for that reason. You have to figure out like every stat attribution. How much do you want here? How much do you want there? Well, putting this here mess things up later there, sort of deal. That was by far the most challenging aspect of like having a full complete route, besides obviously just figuring out the fights. So we took another optional fight there. That'll be the last optional fight we take in the run. Actually, no, that's not true. We will be taking more. But with the explicit purpose of like EXP and drops, because that gave us a Ruler level 3, a weapon for Mael. And that'll be quite useful for the coming fights until we get her next weapon.
This one is gigantic.
And that fight's also a new addition, because we used to take a different one, but that one's faster and gives more EXP, and that let us cut out a battle of 2 mines earlier. But that also made our EXP route really tight, hence the importance of not getting hit. So, V-Dude mentioned Pictos a bit, but yeah, there's also something called Lumina, and that's our expedition's whole thing. Gustav and Lune invented the Lumina Converter, which lets you basically equip the ability of a Picto without having the Picto equipped. And you get 1 Lumina point per level, which is why level 7 is important, and after 4 battles with Picto on, you learn the Lumina. So now I'm going to equip some Lumina for the first time. Just give me a moment, I have a menu. Alright, there we go. So I gave, like, Mael has the critical burn and dead energy Pictos, but I now gave the Lumina to Gustav and Lune. So now they have that ability as well. And altogether that costs 7 Lumina, hence my need for level 7. So, we got our second boss fight here, Gabu. His attacks are pretty straightforward, but he's a very tanky boy. And I am pretty crit line here, so hopefully we'll have some good crit RNG again. So, Mael has that move Switch right there, that puts her into Virtuoso. But the opponent has to be burning for it to work. So our strat is more or less apply powerful, burn enemy, go into Virtuoso. Then we apply defenseless, mark, and do per se, which will be like the attack that gets like all the multipliers combined from Mael, and it'll do a lot of damage. But it'll also be what you want to crit more than anything else. So hopefully we'll get some luck here. I'm also adding some damage with shots where I can, just to help out. Ah, no crit.
Ooh, crits.
Yeah, so you saw right there, we hit for 6k already.
Still a lot, but it could have been more, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been 9,000. Crits are 50% more damage, so... We're getting close to cap already. Speaking of, damage is capped at 10,000, 9999, pretty much. Until we go, like, into Act 3. I am gonna do an adjusted script here, because I know I can't kill with the fast fight anymore, so I'm gonna just add a turn. I did this kind of wrong. I'll just do this.
Yeah, in terms of RNG, this fight's a little bit better than a Vec because you're not at that like 40% crit rate, and because you have like 2 pierces and that you can like crit with. But the first one's very important for you to crit with still because you have powerful on during it. So that one can get to like the max damage threshold. But yeah, hopefully you can still get a crit here on the second go around.
We also cut a lot of weapons from this fight, so it's just harder now in terms of damage. Like, we used to have a better Lune weapon and a better Gustav weapon here, but we don't anymore. So everything's way tighter in terms of damage. Before, you can get away with like only like 1 or 2 crits. Now you kind of need a lot of good damage out of the fight. This is fine. This was like 40 seconds for the fast fight, but we continue.
Yeah, it's usually like the first 3 bosses of these first 3 areas are like have big RNG tied to them. So Avec has the worst time loss in the run, where you could lose up to a minute. Goblu, if you have a bad fight, you can lose like up to 45 seconds. And then in this next area, Ultimate Sakapatat, you can like lose 20 to 30-ish seconds if you have a bad fight. But then after that, it kind of is, the RNG kind of goes away. I guess Duelist stays 1, but like it starts turning into mainly skill the further you get into the run. So, but yeah, it's
the early game is definitely the luck-based part of the run for sure. You're very quick
Can I
lines.
tell you anything more about the village?
There is still variance in later fights, like due to move pool, targeting. There will be like maybe an occasional little bit of crit chance mattering, but the fights are routed to be incredibly stable. So there will be like time variance based off luck, but it won't be anywhere near as bad as like Gabu and Avec. Those are the 2 worst fights of the run. I also think Gabu's worse than Avec nowadays, but it's just nobody wants to reset a Gabu after getting good Avec, so you just continue on if you have a bad fight. At least at the current point in like the times that we have. Eventually we might get to a point where you need both to be good. And it's gonna be a lot less fun at that point. So this is the third location, Ancient Sanctuary. We're going to Gestural Village to find a way to cross the like water so we can make our way towards the Paintress. And we're hoping to get some info here. Plus, you know, meet some Gesturals. They're like these paintbrush guys, and they have these weapons called Sakapatates, like this guy, that they used to fight. This fight actually is a bit of a... Yeah, sack of potato.
Yes, the sack of potatoes.
I did not take that intentionally, I kind of forgot it was there. Okay, it's fine. At this point, I'm not as, like, EXP reliant. It's not good to get hit, but it won't break my round. As long as no one dies.
We were theorizing if we would want to purposely go to low health here to take advantage of critical moment for the tournament in the next split, but now we get critical moment after the tournament instead of before, which we'll explain that stuff later. But yeah, it's it was definitely an idea at one point to intentionally take damage here.
Though the beef I always had that idea, and this is just reflecting my like philosophy as a runner. Enemies can crit you in this game. You're not the only one that can crit. And to get into critical moment HP, it's really hard to get an HP threshold where you'll survive a crit and like get into the HP threshold without a crit. That is a challenge we face throughout the run in general. So I never really liked the idea of that strat, but every now and then you mess up and you can get rewarded for it by getting into critical moment HP. At least before the like previous route edition.
They built it to make their village harder to find.
And then one other thing apparently was like it was found out that you can get better drops when you like take damage sometimes. I don't know exactly how that worked, but like in early routing we were scraping by for polished catalyst because we were trying to upgrade multiple weapons at once, and we want to get a certain weapon for Lune to be like level it up a lot before the Lampmaster fight, because that's like the big fight where we need to like prepare and set up for. So yeah, a few of us were trying to take damage there for that reason too. We have ultimate here.
I was gonna say, that got disproven actually. That's somebody like in any percent got it without getting hit for a bust.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, please go on about the fight so I can focus.
Yeah, so ultimate here. This is the better version suck at the tots. Basically, we're going to be doing roughly the same strategy as we did with Goblu, where, we're going to burn the enemy. Actually, right here is going to be a unique thing that you just saw Zero do, where he broke off the shield from the enemy. So specifically shooting the enemy kind of like makes it drop its defense, and then you just have to shoot its shoulder 3 times and it breaks the shield. And now he'll take a little bit more damage without his shield. But yeah, we're roughly going to go through the same idea here of wanting to get Mael in a virtuous state to do high damage with per pierce. Hoping that we get the crit from that. I think we got it there.
We got it. We hit damage cap.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then also, the break bar is full here. We don't take advantage of break too often, but this is one chance where we can use Gustav's ability to break the enemy to keep them from, basically keep them from playing the next turn, and it helps, actually he'll be able to do it without. Nice.
Yeah, sadly it is targeting reliant. I need to build like 2-3 AP with Gustav by pairing, and he just didn't get targeted enough, so I couldn't do it. But I instead used Powerful because I knew I'd build up enough AP for a marking shot next turn anyway. So it made my next per se do extra damage. In hindsight, I probably didn't need it because we crit the first one. We were good on damage regardless, but it's a like nice way to back it up. And that's not too bad if you don't get the break. It was like maybe 10 seconds. The time loss really comes from that fight if you manage to not kill. And generally that'll happen if you break, because you actually lose out on damage by breaking versus using Powerful. Because then you can't parry the next 2 moves. And like your per se will do less damage. So sometimes even if you can't break, you might choose not to.
And that goes into the idea of like sometimes we want to dodge instead of parry or counterattack, because counterattacks are slow. Going and waiting through enemy attacks, even if we can perfectly dodge them, is slow. So limiting just any of those extra animations, even like our own attacks, like if a certain attack has a long animation, like applying Powerful or something like that, and we don't need that extra damage boost. Or we can scrape by just barely without that by maybe doing an extra shot or 2. Like, we're trying to cut those animations down as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For some reason, the game is not trying... What? That was clearly option 2. What? You saw I hovered! The game, for some reason, doesn't want to do like my tech skipping tech right now. I have no idea why. I think the rest of the run, I'll just try I'll try one more time here to get the fast ones. There we go. That's the fast ones. It's like... It's a weird quirk where if you do some keyboard matching stuff, you can sometimes get through dialogue quicker. It saves a few seconds, but that'll be the last time I try. It doesn't want to do it today. It's very finicky.
So we're at the tournament now. we did visit a flag right before entering, like right when we entered Just Real Village to upgrade Mael's skills to get de-engagement and Rain of Fire. And that's basically going to be our strategy for these fights. Like, parry all these guys, and then between the 2 turns that we have with these guys, do de-engagement to amplify the kind of like fire abilities that we do, and then end off with like Rain of Fire, and usually they'll die from Rain of Fire or from the burn effect that we put on Rain of Fire.
Yeah, they'll all die before they get their third attack off, unless I mess up somewhere. But I love that we used engagement. It's like the most useless ability, and we actually get value out of it.
Yeah.
The big reason it's valuable is because the weapon we got in Flying Waters, the Brularum, it's actually a fire weapon. So it gets buffed a lot on the parries in this fight. Counters in this game do a lot of damage. I haven't really mentioned it, but they're better than most abilities, at least early on. So it's a
They're
really
good
big
in
damage
solo
source.
fights.
Yeah, especially there, because you can't set up like you can everywhere else. I mean, the fire is also really strong ability. Dual fire hit has like really good bases and applies a lot of burn damage. We haven't talked too much about statuses, but Burn's like the main offensive one. That and Mark. Mark makes it so your next hit does 50% more damage. And there's some abilities that get like unique effects when you mark him, like per se. It does way more damage if you mark. Burn is just like a passive extra damage based off stacks for 3 turns. And you can stack it a lot. It's not like limited to like 1 stack. You can keep stacking it. Alright, focus time.
Yeah, so we have CL here, and ooh.
Okay, that
it's
really
not very good if you fail this fight, because
we're going back a few minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to reload a save. So essentially, if CL beats you in this fight, she wins the fight and you continue on, and the player that wins, the character that wins, gets a special weapon that's geared to them. We want to win as Mael, so we get a special weapon that's geared to Mael. So that means, yeah, that's like an instant, would be an instant reset point if you're in a run. We have to go through a whole Industrial Village.
I got
now.
a really generous estimate. This is like 4 minutes of time lost.
It's all good.
Yeah, the weapon that we want
takes you all the way back here. Wow.
Yeah, it overwrites your saves. This game's autosave system is very wonky, to put it generously. Also, I'm gonna heal now, just so if we do that again, that doesn't ruin us like it did there.
Yeah, I know when I started doing runs of this, I would always go to the flag and just like make a safety save right before CL, because I was always worried that I would die to her. Even though it's like takes an extra 20 seconds or something to go to the flag and save, like, yeah, it's very scary dying to CL, but
yeah, I think this normally isn't an issue if I'm just like streaming, you know, run attempts. It's just like audio is a little bit harder with Discord and all that. That move has a distinct audio cue that I kind of missed. It's really not a hard fight. I just messed it up. But it happens. It's not a big deal. You can continue. Let's see if the tech stuff works now. There we go.
So a little bit to explain why it's so important that we get that weapon with Mael and win that fight with Mael is because that weapon that we get kind of lets us start in virtuous state. Like on the very first turn, we don't have to do any other skill or setup to do it. So you can imagine that can save a lot of time in a few fights later, where we don't have to go through an extra turn or two of wait on the enemy attack, and can just like basically use Gustav to mark, and then Lune apply defenseless, and then or give an extra AP to Mael, and then she'll have enough to just do a very strong pierce attack on the first turn of the fight. So
yeah,
it also comes into play very much into Act 3. It's mainly for that final boss fight where it'll come into play, which that's a whole setup that we'll explain later, but yeah,
there's a few like fights where it makes a small difference, but honestly, between like 2 different fights, it pays for itself big time, because you can choose to like boost the CL on purpose and pay like what was it, like You save like maybe 25 seconds there at most, but you'll lose that in like next fight you do pretty much. So it's always worth getting it, and now it's really routed into our Act 3 as well, so I can't continue without it. I'm not going to improvise the whole run because it's better just eat the minutes of time loss for the sake of a marathon. And the sake of an actual run I just reset. Alright, I am going to try to make a save here. I don't know if it'll work. I shouldn't need it, but we're going to try. I think I learned how to do this properly.
Zero, do you think this would be a good time to read an announcement or two?
Can you wait until after that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got it.
Alright, give me an autosave for this game. Okay, I guess I'll do the flag. I'm just being extra safe here. So generally, if you make a save and load a save, it won't overwrite the save with the next save. That's a mouthful. But yeah. So we're just gonna rematch CL again. It's not too hard of a fight. You just can't afford to make a mistake if you're full HP. You can take one hit on the first one. And second hit, you're in offensive, so you have 50% less defense. Second hit, you have to not fail parries.
Let's dance.
So take 2 here. If we're lucky here, we can also cut the second attack completely, but it takes 2 out of 3 crits. The stats that I have. And we didn't get it, sadly.
Ready to
If we crit enough, she would have just went down to burn damage. Alright, there we go. Got our weapon now, the medallion. And feel free to make your announcement now.
Okay, sure. So, if you're looking to get more involved with the GDQ community, you can join the official Games Done Quick Discord and add the hotfix role to stay in the loop on upcoming events, chat with staff, and more. Use !Discord and Twitch chat for an invite and more info. And back to you, Zero.
Thank you. Alright, so Vidu mentioned earlier that we buy Critical Moment after a tournament. Now, this is a pretty big detour, honestly, because it's expensive, and this guy likes to yap just like us. So, but it's incredibly necessary. Like, so what Critical Moment does, it's a Picto that makes us get 50% more crit rate if we're under 30% HP. And while you might be thinking, yeah, you know, that's a good extra amount of damage, crits are 50%, it's like, why is that so important? It's because Lune, once we start using her more, has abilities that are very crit dependent. Like, they do, instead of the normal 50% damage, it's closer to 200% damage more after you do the math on everything. So we will need to get her to 100% crit rate to have, like, consistent fights, and this is the only feasible way to do it, really. The other way is to go to, like, the Secret Gestural Arena and get, like, the Picto that gives you 100% crit if you're fighting by yourself. But then you have to fight by yourself, and that's also really slow. So this is what we'll be primarily taking advantage of.
Feeling better?
So yeah, something that I really like in this run is that we like the consistency of just keeping a perfect crit chance. Like, it seems some of the other categories have to rely on just like if you get a crit or not, but like once we get to this point in the run, we kind of have all of our setups just perfectly aligned to taking advantage of that extra crit damage, and I love how fluid and systematic it feels to just be able to take advantage of that fact.
Yeah, this is where the fights become really stable, essentially. Like, there is still variance of, like, bonuses you can get from attack patterns and, like, crits from characters that aren't guaranteed crits, but for the most part, the fights are really stable. Alright, so here we learn some more skills, get some more stats. We're learning a really important one here for Lune called Lightning Dance. Lightning Dance hits 6 times, does a lot of damage if you have the right stains, but for it to hit multiple times... Oh, let me rephrase. It hits 6 times, but if you crit, it does an extra hit, so it can hit up to 12 times, essentially. And we're going to have 100% crit on her, so she'll be getting 12 hits. And because of the damage cap, that's really important. You might think, why crit more when you can crit harder? Well, until we get into Act 3, we're capped at 9999. So say Mayel, she's already hitting damage cap on Perseus, if we set her up correctly. So she falls off. You might think that Mayel has been really powerful, and she has been, but she doesn't have much in terms of good multi-hit that we can take advantage of. So that was essentially the last time we... Well, no, this fight right here is more or less the last time we get a lot of value out of her.
Feels a little...
She's still good for some small, like, rando fights. And she'll pop back up in Act 3, and she'll be a force in the fight or two. But this is the time of the run where Lune really starts to shine. And CL2, who's our new character. Dude, would you mind explaining Lune's stains a little bit while I menu?
Yeah, so the way that Lune works, similar to Gustav and Mael, she has a special ability to how her character works, and that is stains. So every time that she performs one of her skills, she can generate a stain, like a fire, an ice, an earth, a lightning stain. So, and some skills get amplified when you have certain stains. So, for example, Lightning Dance will, the big MVP move that we'll use later, it does increased damage when you have 4 stains of basically each variety. Well, actually no, it's 3 of the varieties. It's I forget the exact combination, but
it's the 3 non-lightning ones.
Yeah.
Generally, moves will use like opposing element for their stains. Okay. So like lightning and earth oppose each other, or like lightning will want to use earth stains, but lightning dance uses everything but lightning. They will never use their own stains, pretty much. Fire likes to use ice, I believe. Ice likes to use fire. I could be slightly off on these, because honestly, we really only care about the lightning stains damage amp.
You think the paintress created?
And then there's also like a light stain where it'll just apply for any element too. So basically, skills that will cost more AP generally will generate like a stain of their element and an extra light stain. So we'll have to watch Lune's AP very closely for the rest of this run and make sure that we can apply exactly what we want to in order to deal Lightning Dance at the strongest that it can be, either on the first turn or on the second turn of every fight.
Yeah, that'll be third turn for the first few fights, just because that'll be the only way we can get to generate the stains we need. But eventually we'll unlock an ability called Elemental Trick, where if it crits every hit, for every hit it crits, it builds a stain of that element, and it does one of each element. So it just sets us up in one move, assuming we crit everything. And we will make it so we're guaranteed to crit. Okay, so we got SK. SK is our big friend. He is like the nicest thing in existence. He's also our main... Go ahead.
he's best boy, pretty much.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah, just look at him. Look at him go. Nice. Isn't he cute?
Accidentally opened the map. Right now he can only travel Nova World, but he can smash through rocks at this point. But SK unlocks like new traversal abilities when we find his rocks for him, and that's why we fought Francois, his arch nemesis / friend earlier, because he thought he had one of his rocks, but it turns out it's somewhere else. It's instantly close, so we're gonna go there next. But first, we're gonna do our first weapon upgrade. We're gonna upgrade Lune's lighter to level 7 because that's the best we can do at this point.
I hope we can trust him.
And go ahead.
That weapon upgrade is very important. We basically save all the polished catalysts that we've gotten to this point, and it's very hard to get them. Like, we had to buy 2 extra right after the tournament too in order for us to have enough. And like it's a pretty important thing in the routing because we wanted to upgrade multiple weapons, but nope, it's very important to upgrade to level 7 for Lampmaster. Yeah. Here we're going to do an optional fight in order to get, well, for 2 reasons. Right there, we're going to kill ourselves with Lune, because what that does is put us at a low health state on the next fight, and that gets to take advantage of critical moment to deal. Oh, you can always run away.
I'm just going to reload the fight so I can show how it's done properly. It's fine. Or I could run away too, that works, actually, that's faster.
Yeah, I used to lose a lot of time because I messed up this fight, and I found out that just fleeing is like a lot faster.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, this has to be very precise because you can't waste a single bit of AP here. All the shots are very accurate. But yeah, Wildfire is
one spare with Lune, but you generally don't use it. The bigger issue was that I just did the fight wrong at the start and didn't catch it, and then the game bailed me out, and I still managed to mess it up by missing the Lance Ram. because you need all your AP to kill the Lance Rem if you hit all your shots, but that's assuming you don't crit. I got at least 1 crit in there, so if I was just accurate, it would have been fine.
To try to re-explain what was going on there with Lune, so she has an ability, Wildfire, there, where basically it self-harms you if you fail it, if you fail the QTE for it. And we'll see that happen a lot throughout this run. So in order to get Lune to low health, yeah, it's pretty useful. Not all the characters will have abilities to enter low health, so it's really nice that yeah. At one point, we tried to use tints while having basically there's a Picto that allows you to take damage instead of heal with a healing item. So we used to use a health tint to put ourselves into low health, or yeah, but that ended up becoming not optimal.
There is one potential application depending on whether or not we crit for that. But what B-Dude's talking about is a status called inverted. It makes, while you're inverted, essentially whenever you heal, you take damage instead for the amount you would have healed for. There's a Picto later on called Inverted Affinity, where you start off inverted for 3 turns and you do 50% increased damage. Speaking of, when it comes to like damage buffs, there's 2 different types. There's more and there's increased, which sounds like the same, but it applies at different parts of the formula pretty much. And doing more, what was it? I think doing more damage is the way better one because that applies at the end. Additionally, there's a few Pictos / Lumina in this game that have secret buffs, essentially. That's why we got Dead Energy at the start of the run in Spring Meadows, because the ability it gives you is if you kill an enemy, you gain 3 AP. But it gives you a secret 10% increased damage. The ability we just picked up there with the Picto was called First Strike. It's actually one of the most useful in the whole run. It makes it so you always go before the enemy. It's like free preempt. We didn't really talk about that, but if you attack an enemy like this, you preempt them, so you always go first. And if not, it's just based off speed. And generally, everything's faster than you. Well, First Strike, you just automatically go first if your characters have that, and that's incredibly useful for obvious reasons. And the last thing we kind of glossed over till now is QTEs. Pretty much every ability, when you use it, has like that diamond thing that pops up, and you have to time your button press. If you hit like the top left side, it's a perfect, and you get a 20% more damage on it, pretty much. Some of them also have different effects that come along with hitting the QTEs, like more hits, for example. Sometimes you get bad effects, like for example when you fail the Wildfire QTE, which is either hitting it too early or too late, so it's not in the diamond at all. It backfires and you damage yourself, and we take advantage of that intentionally quite often.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's actually like the most goated Lune spell in my opinion, outside of like Lightning Dance, because it lets us set up our HP.
That's nice.
And yeah, it's one of my favorite mechanics for sure. And then additionally, if you're just hitting the diamond but not on the top left, you get a 1.1 bonus. That's just like the normal non-perfect one. And we generally do perfects because we want more damage, but sometimes you can save a bit of animation time by doing 1.1s or 1.0s. And if we don't need the damage, then we'll just do that. And there will be a few rare cases where we intentionally lower our damage for various reasons by doing an imperfect one. But the biggest example being the final boss, but we'll get to that when we get there. That was my little mechanic dump that we managed to ignore up until this point. But here with some clips, we're looking for SK's Rock Flurry, because that'll give him the ability to swim. And we need that to continue our quest towards the monolith to defeat the Paintress. So it's somewhere at the end of some of the clips. We're just going to traverse this. We already got our pickups. We do pick up some money here and there, because the money route is pretty specific. Enemies drop a set amount. So we know exactly what we need in terms of money. And sometimes it's like a little bit more detour than I'd like the money pickup we did by the grapple there. But it's all necessary. I need all this money to have enough for Inverted. We have to buy it in the next area, and it's pretty expensive. It's like just under 10,000.
Would this be a good time for some more announcements, Zero?
Sure, gives me a time to menu.
Okay. All right, cool. So you can catch up on past Hotfix shows, special events, and GDQ marathons over on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with GDQ. Also, if you're curious what's coming up on Hotfix, check out this week's schedule and explore our full season lineup at gdq.gg/hotfix. And back to you, Zero.
Thank you. I know a lot of people won't care that are watching, but I apologize in advance for my menuing. I normally, like, think it out before I do the menu, but since I'm yapping so much, it's gonna be way worse. It won't be the best menu showcase, but I don't think that matters too much. This is a hard ability.
So we have the dreadful Lamp Master here. This has been the first big hurdle in the routing efforts to figure out how to bring this down as fast as possible. We eventually have landed on what we've kind of described as utilizing Lune's Lightning Dance and utilizing critical hits, like guaranteed critical hits, do a lot of damage. So for the first 3 turns here, we're going to be setting her up.
I tried to do a bonus strat, and I did the script incorrectly. So, it doesn't really matter what I do. I'm just going to reload it, because the fight's kind of worked. It's fine. We can just reload, do the auto saves. So, normally I have to do an intervention there to get an extra attack and build AP, but I got enough targeting onto Lune that I was able to skip it. But the contingency is if I skip that, I have to do Powerful turn 2 Gustav, and I blanked on that. So we're just gonna redo it. Anyway, go on, keep explaining the fight. I'm just gonna do it properly this time.
Yeah, so we've got to this point where everything has to be very precise, and you need the AP for everything. So we have to counter at least one of these attacks, either the first attack or the second attack. That attack will do enough damage here for us. So yeah, usually Lune or CL will do enough damage as a counter attack, but so there's some targeting RNG there. Lune will do Immolation and Ice Lance, which we just did, to get the stains in order to have the increased damage for Lightning Dance next turn. And yeah, at this point we just need to make sure that we don't get hit and survive.
Okay, it's fine, I can continue that.
We'll lose the 20% XP bonus at the end, but it's not going to be a big deal long term. This next turn, we're going to use Gustav to use Powerful, and if you remember, Powerful lasts for 3 turns, so it's going to carry over into the next phase. Yeah, look at that damage, just draining that health bar.
Yeah, this is where Lune starts to shine.
So we're going to try and do that same thing here on phase 2. She already has a few stains already loaded, so we just need to do 1 attack in order to give her the stains for the increased damage benefit again. But Lune is pretty low on AP, so we'll utilize CL's turn here to tint her, give her some extra AP. Then we just have to survive 1 more attack here. Nice. Then Gustav is going to apply Defenseless for 25% extra damage, and then here we go. We're going to intervene for Lightning Dance. We do massive damage.
Yeah, now we did the fight proper. Well, I got hit, so not perfect, but it's fine.
That is a lot of damage.
Yes, it is. Lune, by the way, without stains, that move is like 6 times weaker. So it's very important that we set up the stains correctly and do all the buffs. Because once we do that move, we don't have good follow-up damage anymore. So correct setup is incredibly important there. Also, to answer the question about perfect dodging versus parrying, so if I have Dodger equipped, I can still build 1 AP per string by dodging, but a lot of times I'll just dodge because it's easier, I don't need the AP, and I don't want the counter because the counter just adds animation. Or it could also be a case of me over-damaging an counter in certain fights, which I don't want.
So this is the end of Act 1, correct?
Yes.
It is.
And I believe there's actually like an Act 1 speedrun for this game.
There's a category for it, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it would have ended just right there, pretty much.
Yeah. That seems like a nice, like, introductory category.
Yeah. I think it's pretty common for new runners. It's a good starting point, for sure.
Especially if you don't have time for a longer run like 2 hours. I know that there's there's a lot of speedrunners I know that don't have the time to put in for 2 or hour runs, but like anything under an hour is a lot easier to get into. So yeah, Act 1 runs are good if you don't have the time for a full run. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, it's a nice way to see if you like it too. And
Yeah,
do a good intro.
Exactly.
I think it's a nice option.
Plus, you get the worst experience right away with all the RNG. So if you can tolerate that, you can tolerate the full run. Because Act 1's generally the most RNG heavy part of the run.
If you can tolerate that,
Like, to be honest, once you get your time good enough and you're going for PBs, you're going to be an Act 1 runner more or less anyway.
Yeah, that's how it always is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, menu here.
So because we just changed act, like we skipped a lot of cutscenes, some pivotal story things happened here, and we have a new character now. So Verso has joined our party, and Verso is well, I really like how Verso plays, but there's a lot to him. But yeah, essentially he has this like perfection system where basically the more hits you do without taking damage, he'll get stronger. We don't actually play into that like too extremely much, but what we do utilize with Verso right away is letting him die here so he can enter low health. And then on the next fight, we're going to take advantage of one of his abilities where he does extra damage at being, like the lower his health is, he does more damage. So straight away, without even having to do setup, he's going to deal pretty much the max amount of damage on turn 0. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's very satisfying. Go ahead.
Remember that fight earlier where after France won as his next, we took an optional fight. I don't remember if we mentioned it. Part of the reason we took that was to set up Lune's HP for Lab Mastery because we need to get her low for critical moment. The other reason is that fight drops the lance around level 6, which is a weapon for Gustav and Verso. Or in the case if you already had a weapon, this like a universal mechanic. Certain enemies drop weapons, and if you already have the weapon, they'll upgrade the weapon to like whatever weapon, whatever level it would have dropped out. But the point of the lance from 6 is it's really good for the upcoming fight here. Its passive ability is that starts you at C rank, and Berserk Slash does the most damage at C rank. That's like Verso's moves, depending on what rank you are, they can get bonuses. Berserk Slash gets more damage at C rank. And additionally, it's also like a good bit stronger than every other weapon we had available for him. So that was why we did that earlier. Additionally, that was supposed to be our tutorial to gradient counters there, the fight we were forced into. But my ult told me to parry it, so I tried to parry it and it didn't work. So Verso died, but it's okay because now it's 1 HP. And off Lab Master we got another picto called Death's Door, and Death's Door makes you do 50% more damage if you are at 10% or less HP. That combined with Critical Moment, which gives you 50% more crit at under 30, and Berserk Slash, which does more damage based off your HP being lower and lower. We get a lot of damage application, as Bidou mentioned.
My casual playthrough, I used Berserk Slash quite a bit. It was very good.
I missed it, honestly, in my casual.
Yeah, I had the sword that would start Verso at like half HPs. That was my casual strat.
I know which one you're talking about, but the name is like not coming to me. The Delaram, I believe. And we glossed over pickups, but there are these things called pain cages where you have to shoot 3 things, they open up, and it's a pain cage in Silhouette Cliffs that gives you that weapon. And if I didn't get the Lance Ram, I'd probably get that weapon. But I could just do 2 birds, 1 stone, get the Lance Ram, and set up Luna HP, and get some EXP, so...
Yeah, that is good damage.
Alright, so this fight here, this is a monster of fights. So... yeah, so we're gonna... it relies on targeting, so we want him to target Verso as much as possible here, and that's gonna give him AP, and be able to do that damage with Berserk Slash, where he's doing max damage with every slash pretty much, if he crits. Oh, nice. He got the good targeting. So...
I
yeah,
actually
so basically
got the guaranteed good fight script. Funnily enough, this usually doesn't happen.
Yeah, so this is gonna save like 30 seconds over like what the regular fight would go like. You'll be able to finish this phase and
actually overpush damage. Funnily enough, is not supposed to imply inverted here, but it's fine. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Alright, it's bad because I can't parry, apparently. Okay, it's alright. We'll redo it without the good luck. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to show them what the good luck was, and now we have to show them the bad luck. Show them everything.
Hey, it's a showcase.
Yeah, very much a showcase, not a quality run, as you guys can clearly see with my performance so far. That's okay.
Cool boss. So it's cool to see.
I love this boss so much. It's this is the boss that convinced me to do glitchless over the glitches category, because you skip this boss in the regular any percent, and I wanted to learn and master this guy's parries. It's yeah.
It's so one of the most satisfying fights.
So if we get a bad fight here and he doesn't target Verso, then we have to prioritize Lune giving Verso AP so he can continue to doing Berserk slashes. But it's also important for CL to have enough AP so she can have the 4 AP she needs to use intervention to let Verso have another turn, so we can do Berserk slash twice in the same turn, pretty much.
So there's also 2 scripts you can take. The first one was the good fight. That was actually the ultra good fight. This try, since I got a bad target at the start, I went for the mediocre fight script, which is still fine. It's 15 seconds slower than the good variation, 15 seconds faster than bad luck on the good variation. It's the middle ground strat, essentially. It's still good. And the nice thing about the strat is that it's completely stable. There's no real variance to it. There's a little bit of variance in terms of which moves he does for targeting and time, how long they all take, but it's pretty consistent. You always kill the same turn. There we go.
And then we get one of the best action sequences to end a fight ever.
Yeah, this is really cool. Also takes quite a while, which is why the glitch speedruns try to skip this. There's not only does the fight take time, but you get a lot of animation, and then it takes quite a while to traverse out of this area. Since Duise broke the bridge we were standing on, and now we have to climb back out and go all the way around. Whereas all the categories, they can launch themselves past the end zone of this, pretty much. But we do get some really good rewards here. We get the combo attack Picto, which lets a base attack hit 1 extra time, which is whatever. But the important thing is the 93 speed it gives you. That is very valuable to us. And the Dualiso weapon, which is the weapon that Dualiso was using. Nice, we also got a Rico drop, that's important. But the Dualiso lets, if you attack with Verso with it equipped, he gets an extra turn right away. And you'll remember that earlier we got Exposing Attack, which applies defenseless on an attack. So essentially lets us apply defenseless for free every time now, which is very useful for us. That also lets us generate a bit more AP and rank for him, which also has its value. The downside to the Dualiso is that it's a pretty weak weapon. It has a much lower base attack than other weapons, but it's still the strongest thing we have right now. And we don't care too much, honestly. Versa will still have more than enough damage, or we're never gonna bother specking him out because we will hit damage cap anyway, even if we're a weak Dualiso. So it's very useful for us. It has no real downsides to our use cases. I guess the only downside I could say it has is that you're forced into a second turn if you attack, and there'll be fights where I don't need to do anything after the attack. I just want to apply defenseless. So then I'll just have to skip turn, and that'll add 4 seconds or so, but it's very, very much rare that that's the case, and it's not a big deal. We didn't mention, so someone mentioned in chat that the Dualiso has garbage scalings, scaling up help with defense, which we don't ever really want. So that's pretty true. But we never mentioned weapon scalings in general, and I'd like to go over that. Luna's a weapon level lower because of the Lapmaster Mist DXP. Also there, we upgraded our Lumina for the first time. So I didn't mention earlier, it's based off level, but you can also get colors of Lumina and invest those into characters to give them more Lumina points. And that's what we do there. That's actually the only Lumina menu we do in the whole run. We only pick up 4 color of Lumina to use in that menu, and that's it. We don't need any more than that, assuming we don't mess anything up. But anyway, certain weapons scale off of certain stat investments. We've been primarily investing into might and agility with a bit of luck later on to hit certain crit thresholds. Might gives you more attack, agility gives you more speed, and luck gives you more crit. But additionally, your weapons scale off certain stats, and the weapons we tend to use scale off agility and luck. We'd probably use them regardless of what their scalings were, because they're just really good weapons for us, but it's a big bonus that they scale off stats that we get on anyway. So this is another optional fight. This one doesn't give us any good rewards per se, but it gives us some EXP, and it lets us well upgrade our Pictos a bit, get more of our movement to learn. It can be done really quickly, and it lets us set up Boon HP again. Because this game happens to force camps a lot, which full heal you. And that is actually a challenge for us in our run, because we want to be low HP to take advantage of our low HP Lumina and Pictos, and Berserk Slash. So it's kind of a pain point for us that we get healed a lot, and we'll see it more and more as the run goes on. We'll be taking extra fights to set up our HP properly, because we can't really do it in boss fights. Since a lot of the time we can't have the precision we'd like, where we get ourselves to low HP. We have to kill ourselves, and then come back to the next fight with 1 HP. Didn't jump. And now it's stuck. Thanks, Alright, another quick menu here.
How is the movement in this game in general? Is it easy or challenging?
Wonky would be my best way to describe it.
Yeah, a little wonky. Sometimes a little stiff. It's hard to describe exactly, but yeah, like
I noticed
you
it
have
was
to...
a little tough to do the movement, and there's some like platforming that's like designed in the game, and like some optional stuff that's like they knew that this was going to be hard.
Yeah, there's some intentional platforming for sure. Go ahead, I cut you off.
Yeah, like they have the whole like the gestural climbing activities, so like they knew what they were doing with the movement. But yeah, it's like interesting. Like if you're ever gonna have to make like a special hard jump, you need to make sure that you like sprint jump at it at the right time. In those gestural activities, they let you like ledge grab, but yeah, we can't really utilize that in the speedrun ledge grab, so we have to make sure that we're jumping at the exact right height to, like we can skip some climbing holds if we jump at the right time and we're at the peak of our jump when we're, to just let us get over the climbing hold just barely. You see that a lot more towards the beginning of the run, but yeah. It certainly makes out of bounds look more impressive whenever players have to, in the regular any percent speedrun, have to jump on a specific pixel or something.
The best way I can describe the movement is when it works, it's cool, but there's a lot of wonkiness where it'll like, there'll be like a rock in front of you, so you jump, and like, you'll jump onto the rock and it'll essentially eat your jump, and there'll be a lot of stuff on the ground that it's just like you think has no collision, but then you get stuck on a pebble or something. And then it can get pretty frustrating. There's a lot of invisible walls too, where visually it looks like you can move there, but you can't. So it's honestly the most frustrating part of the game in my opinion, but it's still not bad. It's just very quirky.
Yeah. So it's not the reason why I am speedrunning this game, but yeah, there's still like cool aspects of it to understand for the run too. And like another thing is like when you jump in the air, like you're very bouncy, so if you hit a wall or surface, like you have to be aware that of that if you're trying to line up a jump to something specific, that you're not just going to be sent 90-degree angles in the opposite direction or anything like that.
Yeah, the walls are very bouncy. There are some jumps where you have to make sure you don't hold forward until like the right moment, where you're just going to bounce off the walls.
All right, I will remind you that we were going to go on a break soon. So whenever you're ready for that.
Sure,
you want to do it right now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to take a short little break, y'all. So if you want to get up and, grab a snack, stand up and stretch, just do whatever you can to take care of yourself. We're going to go for about 5 or 6 minute break. But we'll be right back and we'll continue the rest of the run right after that. So make sure you stick around if you want to watch the rest of this really awesome Clair Obscur 80% expert glitchless speedrun. So yeah, we'll be right back. Hey, y'all, welcome back to the show. We are in the middle of a really, really amazing speedrun, Clair Obscur by Zero. Zero, do you want to go ahead and take it away from me so we can get back into the run?
Sure. I will count us down. So on go. 3, 2, 1, go. So that fight right there, that was another quote-unquote tutorial fight, and that fight unlocks gradient attacks for us. So that's like our last new battle mechanic. So now we have a gradient bar in fights, and it fills up as we use abilities. Essentially, as we use AP, you need 20 AP used to fill up the gradient bar, and each character has their own unique gradient attacks. You start off with only the level 1 unlocked, but later on you can unlock the level 2, level 3 if you do side stuff. We won't be doing that. Some characters have more useful ones than others. For example, Lune's there. It does a lot of damage, it breaks shields, and it gives her 1 light stain. In our case there, we just care about the light stain, because it lets us do our lightning dance a little bit earlier. Additionally, gradient attacks, they kind of don't consume a turn. So assuming it's your first turn, you gradient attack, you'll get another turn right after, guaranteed. And this even overrides like phase changes and bosses sometimes, so that mechanic will be very important later on. But in terms of useful gradient mechanics, it'll be primarily CL that we'll be using later on. Alright, got a menu here. 1 moment.
So remember earlier when we said that Pictos, like, if you use them for 4 times, they become Luminas? This is a point where we've learned we've learned First Strike and Inverted, and that's a very important skill that we want to put on everyone, especially First Strike, to just allow everyone to play the first turn possible. So that's partially what the menuing there was for.
It's important that I do it there, because right now my party gets split up. So right now we'll only have one party with Lune, CL, and Monoko, and another party with only Mael and Verso. So that was my one chance to do that fight, but that menu before the next boss fight. And the next boss fight is really unique in that it auto-heals you before the fight. So normally when we get auto-healed, it's like we're forced back to camp, and then we can just set up again before the next boss, and it's fine. But this boss forces you to heal as you go into the fight, so we can't do any setup on our HP beforehand. And
not only that, but it also forces your party, so you have to... yeah, you have to deal with having Mael, Lune, and Verso as your party for this, so otherwise there would be probably a better optimal way of us going about it.
Yeah, we won't have CL, which is what hurts us the most, but we'll make do. There's also a funny mechanic here where if your main party loses, it will still let you go to your secondary party, even though they're not supposed to be there since we're split party. So, like, let's say of Verso Mael group, if they die and we game over, we can bring in our secondary party and it will be Monoko, CL, and Lune. Which is not useful to us, but silly. But on the boss fight, if we game over there, and if we don't have our second party come in, we can actually choose our party afterwards. But that obviously takes time, and we don't want to do that.
Speaking of home, where do you live?
So, when I first was routing this, the CL has this move called Our Sacrifice. And it just it brings your other party members' HP down to 1, and it buffs that attack. And I was using that mechanic of potentially dying and bringing in CL and setting up my party that way. But we have since found a better way, which is really cool, and I'll showcase it once we get there. But first we have a small fight here that's forced. Rain of Fire will clear this guy for the most part. Crit. It's actually a little bit faster if you don't crit there, because he'll be left at 1 HP and Verso can just shoot him. And that'll get him C rank, which will make this Berserk Slash hit a little bit harder and kill in 2 hits. And it saves like a second at most.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's one of the few spots where it's like, oh man, I got a crit.
Yeah.
So, where did you go?
But it's like a second difference. It's not a big deal. And that's more or less what the crit RNG will be from this point on. It's like, oh man, I got a crit, I lose a second. Or, oh man, I didn't get a crit, I lose a second. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Because all the important crits are guaranteed now. We're also going to make a small detour here and pick up this Picto Auto Rush, hopefully without incident. Well, there's incident. My current PB actually loses 40 seconds to failing this twice. It's not that hard, but these guys' hitboxes are deceptive.
Yeah, and it's also annoying because they don't react the same way every time. Like, we try to get up to them and then stop running until, like, you hear that sound effect of them being like, oh, hey, they've noticed you. And then try to curve around like that, you know?
Yeah, there's also a balancing act, because if you don't learn like far enough, they'll block you on the left. But you get too close, they'll just like catch you instantly. So it's actually kind of tricky.
Yeah, I hated when 2 of them notice you and then one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
It's, then you're just like running around in circles and just hoping they don't catch you until you find an opening.
I think it's very much proximity based, which is why I get caught sometimes from getting too close like that first time. Because I want to get as close as possible without getting caught, so I do get their attention. So, boss, here we fight Renoir for the first time for realsies. And our party here is force, so this is gonna be kind of cool. Open the Flame of Fire because we need to get burned for critical burn later on. Then we're gonna Wildfire, we're gonna fail it. And we didn't crit. So the thing about Wildfire is even when we self-do it, it can crit. And we gotta balance our HP so we can get the right amount of damage onto Lune regardless of whether or not it crits. Since it didn't crit, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna use a Healing Tint on her to get her the rest of the way to get under 10%.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is like one of my strats that I'm most proud of.
Yeah,
and your stats really need to be, yeah.
Even
the stats have to be, yeah. The backup has to work, or otherwise the fight would just be unstable. So very proud of this. You need to make it so your Wildfire does between 60 and 66% HP to you, or like you risk dying one way or the other. So our stats are pretty precise at this point for this purpose.
Cool.
And yeah, if it goes smoothly, it's like a sub-minute fight. It can go over a minute depending on what moves he uses, but you just one-shot him, he only gets 2 moves. You also need a very precise amount of speed there. If you, Lune needs to have 475 or more, because if not, he will get 1 more turn in, and your defenseless will fall off, and your burn will fall off. So you won't have guaranteed crits, and you won't have defenseless. So that's why I didn't mention it when we did the stats in Minoko Station, but I actually recoded Lune, which is basically clearing her stats and getting all my points back so I can respec them. Ideally, I get it from a drop. Pretty much every boss has a chance to drop, and some normal enemies have a chance to drop recodes. I got one in like the last possible moment, or near last possible moment of the release day. We used 2 in the whole run, and if I don't get it, I can buy it. But the one there is more expensive because I would have to buy it in Old Lumiere. And I ideally have already used it before Old Lumiere. So I'd have to not only do an extra merchant to buy it, but I'd also have to take an extra flag to use it.
So this is Visage Island.
So we were lucky in that we got the drop.
Who guards truth with lies.
Are those
So story-wise,
faces?
we're at the point where like, so we originally went to Old Lumiere because her heart's supposed to be there. We were hoping to destroy the heart to break the barriers surrounding the monolith, but we got intercepted by Renoir, and he teleported the manor somewhere else, which is her heart resided. So the other way to break the barrier, apparently, is to defeat 2 Axons to make the barrier breaker. And like up to this point, we were fighting like the Nevrons, which are like the normal enemies. Even like the bosses were like souped up Nevrons. And Renoir, who's like a human. But now we go against like the big scaling enemies, I guess, of Axons. There's 3 Axons in the world. We don't know where they came from. But only 2 of them are within reach, and we need to defeat at least 2 of them to get the barrier breaker. And to go a little bit more into spoiler territory, they're based off of Renoir's children. And Verso is Renoir's son. We learned that in Old Lumiere. So this one, Maskkeeper, is based off Verso. It's like the one who hides truth with lies, which is kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's, yeah, what else are you gonna hide truth with? Always makes me think, like, what else would it be?
I'm almost jealous.
But this is where we start to get into like the real boss fights. They're, well, at least this one's multi-phase. They're generally tankier. Areas are tougher. But before we do that, we're gonna make this big detour here. Maybe Bidu can explain that while I menu.
Yep. So we're going to pick up Confident Fighter here, which is very important because it gives us a 30% increased damage buff. It's also very important for its stats there for like critical chance. It's very big, but essentially how this area plays, like we don't have to go in this area. This is an optional area technically. The boss how it works is that there's 3 masks that help support it, and you can beat those to make the boss easier, but we're not even going to face those bosses. We're just going to get here, get Confident Fighter, and then try to get back on route as quick as possible. But there's another reason we come over here, and it's this fight to set up Verso and Lune for low health, and then we just flee the fight.
This is probably my favorite optional fight in the whole run, just because of how silly it looks. It's like, oh, we entered the fight, let's go fight! Verso instantly kills himself by doing perfect recovery, and I gave him the lance from his C rank, and C rank makes perfect recovery heal you for full. But because it's inverted, he just kills himself. Then Lune does Wildfire, fails the QTE, and he set up her like HP and stats just right that it always kills her. And then Seal's just kind of left by herself, and it's like, well, these guys just killed themselves. I'm out of here.
They gave up. These scrubs.
But it's all very precise, actually, because the way flee works is that every alive character has to flee, and you need to get at least 2 flee turns. So they have to die. Even if they hit the right HP, like maybe if I got them under 10, they still have to die, or the flee won't work. And CL has to be fast enough to get 2 turns in, or I won't get the flee off either, so that's why we got Auto Rush earlier. And we even be like, without Auto Rush, we still have to up our speed quite a bit with Pictos, or it won't work. She needs to get over 651 speed after Rush applies. Speaking of, Rush is a 1.33x multiplier for speed. Pretty straightforward. Powerful is a 1.25 extra damage. We haven't really mentioned that earlier, but those statuses, that's what they do. But yeah, that's the biggest detour of the run. I think if we're ever going to make a really big route improvement again, it'll be cutting that detour. But it's really hard. The damage boost from Confident Fighter's like effect isn't that important, but the amount of crit it gives you is very hard to compensate for. It's 20% more crit.
And plus, we would have to find another way to enter low health before this fight. And there's not a lot of easy fights anywhere, so...
Yeah, if you don't take any of those detours, you'd have to do something on the world map or just set up HP during the fight, which is very challenging. And it would extend the fight quite a bit. I've toyed with it, I never found a setup that I deemed good enough. So I never even got to pass Masskeeper and find a route out the Confident Fighter detour. Here's our first use of Elemental Trick, and luckily, since we got Confident Fighter, we actually do have 50% crit here, so with Critical Moment, that becomes 100, and we are guaranteed crits here. So this is a 2-phase fight. We're going to enter like the phase 2 in a very precise way, or we're going to have a very messy fight. And he has scripted attacks in this phase. Well, this one's scripted at least. Alright, good crits. So we want to parry, get some extra damage, then we're going to leadership to give people AP, mostly CL. We're going to Wildfire here, and this should push phase 2. If not, I have made a terrible mistake somewhere. And we'd probably have to redo it or have a really scuffed fight. And then Intervention, and we're going to do 2 Lightning Dances from here pretty much. So we want to keep him over half his HP, because when he enters under half, he's going to basically do extended versions of his moves, and it's a lot more animation, and it's harder to dodge. So I don't want to deal with that. And now I have to focus for a moment so I can parry dodge.
Yeah. So this is where the masks come into play, but it's deterministic how it's when they come in, like which ones come in at what time. So the first move is always just him playing twice. So we don't have to worry about like him healing or him exhausting us with our AP. We just have to dodge an extra move, and we can perfectly deal with that and just be able to set ourselves up to finish the turn after that initial set of moves. Because I was always wondering when I first played this boss casually how a speedruns would ever possibly get through this boss without having to do the masks. And that's how.
Yep, we just dance. We do a lot of dancing.
I'd never used that attack casually. Like, it's really powerful.
It is really strong. I kind of glossed over it casually myself. Ooh, I'm a little under-leveled. That is a bit of a problem, actually. I guess I have to kill the ballets. Fine. It's fine. We're all fine, in the words of Sophie.
We're fine.
It's important that I have this level. Like, I can deal without the damage, but I need the Lumina point. I could also just take a quick detour here and, like, put in the Lumina point if I had a spare. But I don't. So, we're just gonna kill the ballet fight instead of running from it. Actually, in hindsight, I'm going to do one extra thing just to secure it, I think. This is also our last weapon upgrade of the run. Well, actually, that's not true. We do one more in Act 3, but it's the last one with the Curator. This was the first area where we were able to get the better upgrade components to level up our weapons past level 9. So we get enough off the boss fight that we can get our Moonlight weapon to 13, and for CL's weapon, we just used our remaining polish that we got after we got the item to 9. We get the CL Sun to level 8. It'd be cool if we can get it to 9. Sometimes we get the drops to do it, but it's not necessary. It just makes the fights a little bit more stable. But the CL Sun we actually only really use in this area here. After this, the boss stack Sun in this area will drop the Tisserand, which is a really good CL weapon, and we'll just use that from now on. We've also only really used the CL for utility up to this point. The community likes to meme about this because in the routing days, I was preaching the power of intervention when everybody was still using Fortune Fury. So CL is really good utility because, well, she has good utility skills, but the main two people consider are Fortune Fury, which makes your next to like, you can use on whoever, and that character's next turn will they'll just do double damage. And interventions on the other side of the tree. And it basically, when you use that, it gives that character 4 AP and they take their turn again right away. And that's what we've been using throughout this whole run. I haven't really mentioned it since we've gotten her. But you have to pick one because they're on opposite sides. And the Fortune Fury side also has our Sacrifice, which brings everyone's HP besides CL to 1 and does some damage, which is also very useful. But Intervention's just too strong. I think Intervention's more important than both of those, so we do right side tree. But we've been using her as utility this whole time, and she will always still be used for utility, but this is the part of the run where we'll also be using her for damage. So this is her time to shine. A big part of that is Radiance. Go ahead.
It looks really impressive when you see Lune and CL dealing damage back to back. Like, I love these fights because of how that flows.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Dancing towards Lumiere.
We're going to be doing the ballet fight right here. So we use this fight to enter low health, but because we're at like low XP, Zero here is gonna finish the fight with Mael. Like after we have our party die here to the attacks, instead of fleeing with our party afterwards, we're actually gonna kill the ballets here with Mael's with her gun. And to get a little bit of extra XP. But yeah, if you weren't under level, you would just flee from the fight and save, I don't know, like 10-ish seconds, 7-ish seconds. It's not quite that
much. It's not too much. I also caught a mistake there that I didn't realize I made. I didn't get Minoka first strike, apparently. Which is actually good in this fight, but I'm going to have to fix that before we get to... I mean, ideally at this point, I guess I do it before we do the Monolith setup fight.
Yeah.
But silly mistake. I lost my train of thought completely, not gonna lie. So yeah, since we're gonna start using CL for combat now, I do need to bring her down to 1 HP now. So now we have to use the mechanic where we bring in our second party. And she has to die. So the setup fights take a bit longer because of that, but it's just kind of unavoidable. And this is why I don't think our sacrifice, like, while it'd be useful, it's not as valuable as it might appear. Because in fights like this, it wouldn't be good enough anyway. I'd still have to set up CL HP, unless I reroute my fights around not having her, and honestly, that's not very feasible. Because despite how strong Unaid is, with hitting her 999s every turn, this is where it starts to be not enough. Enemy HP starts to go into like the 300,000 range. For example, next fight we're going to do has like 350,000 HP. And Lightning Dance, despite hitting incredibly hard, only does 120,000 damage. It's capped at that because it's 12 hits of 9999. And CL, while her hits aren't as hard, she can hit more of them. Because of her gradient being a 10 hit. So, like, even if we had our sacrifice, it wouldn't be as useful as I'd like here, which is another big part of why I think the intervention path is much better. Also, for the people mentioning Lightning Dance in chat casually, I actually glossed over that completely casually. My Lune was a Typhoon user. It's like a little bit more to the right. It's a move that lasts for 3 turns and it heals your party and does damage. And there's a lot of Pictos that give you buffs based off healing. There's like energizing heal, powerful on heal, all the buffs on heal. So my Lune casually was just healing for a good chunk every turn, giving everybody 8 AP and applying every buff.
Yeah. My Lune was also like support. I didn't realize how much damage she could do.
Yeah, same. I glossed over it completely until I watched, like, talked to some other people playing it casually, and they were just doing lightning dance and stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize this was, like, the play. I was just full utility.
I got baited by the, like, I guess the area of her skill tree that's, like, all, like, revives and stuff. It's like, oh, this is, like, the heal character, I guess. They never looked into her being, like, a damage output.
That's funny because
Yeah, you really...
I was gonna say, despite me never like using despite me using Typhoon for like the healing utility, I never actually used the healing tree. I was just Typhoon. What were you gonna say?
I was definitely one that went the healing route too, but yeah, like I feel like the game doesn't help encourage you to, like, you don't have a lot of her skills to play into a lot of stuff early on, and you can only really deal a lot of damage once you start going deep into a route. And like, it doesn't help really teach you how well you can like build her stains and how effective some of the skills can be using the extra stains for increased damage. That's something that people just accidentally figure out later, rather than earlier, or for some cases not at all.
I feel like despite, like, now I know the stain system really well and it seems very intuitive. When I was, like, playing casually, it took me a while to get the hang of it. Yeah, I found it pretty confusing. Also, have I menued yet? I don't think I have.
Yeah, I found it difficult to, like, set up, like, specific stain distributions, I would say.
Yeah, it's tricky because the moves consume stains, too. So it's like, maybe you need a bullet stain, but you can't consume another stain.
Right.
Alright, let's do the menu now. I hadn't done it yet, so it would have been really bad if I entered without this. And then let's give you first strike, because I apparently missed it earlier. Alright, so Glissando, this is actually, besides like the final bosses, this is the tankiest guy in the game that we fight, with like 350,000 HP. Right, so pretty standard setup here. We give CL some AP, and then we do Trick to get our stains. So here we use a new ability called Card Weaver. Maybe you can explain that while I do the fight.
Yeah, Card Weaver is really cool because it lets you play immediately again after using it. So we use it to basically use CL's basically character-specific trait of Twilight, where if you use a Sun skill and then a Moon skill, then you'll enter Twilight and deal like double damage and other benefits on the next turn. So using Card Weaver along with the other, I forget if Card Weaver's Sun or Moon, but you know, it's Sun, so then you can do a Moon ability like Intervention to go into Twilight, and then her Gradient will be able to do massive damage like that in Twilight. So, yeah, it's very useful to use Card Weaver here for this fight and the next fight.
Yeah, we haven't talked about CL all that much. We just explained her utility, but she's actually a good damage character too, and we can explain her mechanics. So her like two main things are Sun Moon, like charges, and Foretell. Foretell's like the card I kind of see my fights at the top of the HP bar, and like applying Foretell to an enemy doesn't do anything on its own, but other skills consume Foretell, or potentially do more damage if Foretell's there. And it's essentially buffs her abilities, depending on like which ability you use in a certain way. Then there's Sun and Moon abilities. So when she uses Sun abilities generally apply Foretell, but not always. Like Card Weaver doesn't apply Foretell. But if she has a Sun charge, if she uses a Moon charge or a Moon ability that consumes Foretell, she'll gain 1 extra AP per Foretell consumed. And if she has a Moon charge and you use a Sun move, you'll gain 1 AP for every Foretell you apply. But once you have at least one Sun and Moon charge, you'll enter Twilight state. And Twilight, you do 50% more damage pretty much. And it lasts for 2 turns by default. But for every charge, it's 25% more for every charge you have, or that like consumed entering Twilight. So if you had like say 3 Sun charges and you get a Moon charge, instead of doing 50% more, you'll do 100% more. In our case, we'll only ever use the 50% more mechanic, but that's why Card Weaver's so nice. It lets us enter Twilight there, and we can just get 50% more damage for free. Plus, Card Weaver itself does like 10,000, which is very useful. And that was kind of our solution to not having Fortune Fury for these fights, because that's how like previous rounds did it, and it's like that's how we buffed CL damage. We do Fortune Fury on herself, and then you do more damage even, because that's 100% more damage versus 50% more. But we don't have access to that because it's really far in the left tree. So we found Card Weaver as a solution to do more damage and enter Twilight, and that kind of compensates for the missing damage from Fortune Fury, and we can still use Intervention.
We have Seren here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how fast this one goes.
It's pretty fast.
This boss has extremely long attack animations. So ideally, we want to skip it. I love how this works systematically. We deal just enough damage before this attack here, so that we do parry damage to put her into kind of like her after quarter health, pretty much. And it skips her first attack because she has to go into a frantic state instead. Going to that frantic state's much faster than a minute-long attack animation. And yeah, we don't have to deal with any more attack animations as long as we can kill on this turn. So let's just figure out how to deal massive damage, right? So,
yeah, that's hard for us, clearly.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting as a way to skip these really long attack animations.
So this is also our first use of Sealed Fate, which is another CM move we learned recently. And that's like a 109, 108 fight. Yeah.
That's
really
so
easy.
fast.
I love that fight.
Yeah, it's actually one of the fastest fights in the whole run. And it's like completely scripted too. There's no variance whatsoever, really.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So additionally, like we set up the HP precise enough, like Bidude mentioned the whole thing of avoiding frantic to avoid the longer attacks. But that first attack she does, it's actually like a double attack almost, because after the glissando, she normally does enchant if she doesn't phase change. But because we phase change off the first counter, she never actually does the enchant either, so we even cut that out. But that fight's had a cool progression. Like with the intervention route, it went from like maybe like 125 fight to like a 120 fight to a 115 fight, and now it's like a sub 110 fight.
Well, that's like extremely impressive. Especially on like this higher difficulty where you said the bosses have like what? How much more HP than normal?
87.5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does depend, but
yeah, you can say like almost double.
That's huge.
Potentially the question on if it's really a long, minute-long animation depends which move she does. So she has like 3 modes. Frantic, it becomes like a 30-second, maybe 20-second animation or something. But if you go past that, it becomes even longer. It becomes like, if you get her to like her last damage gate, it's actually like a minute-long animation, almost. It's a really long attack. So that's like one of the improvements that was made in the fight. Originally, I was doing the whole intervention lightning dance thing, and lightning dance would push her past the damage gate right away. So you had the really long attack for her attack in, like the attack that she gets off. Not the like minute-long one, but the like 20, 30-second long one. And now she just does like a 5, 10-second one, and that's it. So big improvements there. But yeah, these 2 fights are also where you start to see CL gradient. Like obviously we just showcased it, but now we have to start being mindful of building gradient. Like there'll be times where I can do a faster animation. For example, on Seren, instead of doing leadership, I could have done an energy tint. That would have been good on AP. But I have to do the leadership because if you don't actually build enough gradient to get CL's gradient off. So we, in terms of our strats, we start having to be mindful of that now. Also, well, hold on. You know what? I can do this with Mael, and it's actually a little bit faster menuing-wise, but we're going to do this with Minoko.
Yeah, give my boy some time to shine.
Exactly. I'm hoping we get the line. Come on, Minoko, say the thing!
Say it. Don't be shy, Minoko.
But yeah, we finally got the barrier breaker. We can finally make...
Violence, yes.
Not quite.
No.
So one of his lines here is "My what lovely feet," and we're thinking the paint were gigantic feet. Which is
perfect boss for it.
So that fight just ends after 3 paintress turns. So we just bring in Minoko, and he just sits there. Mael can do the same thing. He just wants someone slow. So Verso's out because he has auto rush on his mega fast, and I think Lune and CL will get 3 turns instead of 2. We don't want the rest of our party in there because that's just more turns we have to skip. So we do a party change menu just to kick everyone out. If you're really clever, and this is done in like story restricted, you can set up your party HP on that fight and not do it in a future fight, but there's no good way to do it in expert. Confident Fighter gets in the way because Confident Fighter prevents you from healing yourself, and that applies even if you're inverted. So even though you would damage yourself with inverted, it prevents the heal that would damage you. So that's one challenge. But you know, you can remove that. That's avoidable. The other big challenge is that the mechanics on that fight are really weird and like what works and what doesn't, because she's immune to damage. And for example, if you attack with Verso, I think that prevents his Deliso from activating, so it's hard to build rank. So you probably have to switch to Lancer Arm so you can perfect recovery C rank. Fune's fine. She can nuke herself with Wildfire, that's no issue. But CEO has the wonkiest mechanics. Because ideally you stay above, like, you don't die, but you get under 10%. And, oh, I'm stuck. That branch is evil.
That stupid branch. Just an invisible wall right there for no reason.
Yeah. That's the thing with movement in this game. But going back to the Paintress fight, so the two best moves you have for like healing and CL's move pool are Harvest and Grim Harvest. Harvest heals you for 40% HP, and you can like adjust it by applying Foretell. So you can apply Foretell. If you use a Foretell move on her, it won't damage her, but it will apply Foretell. But for some reason, Harvest, when you do it, it won't consume the Foretell to amplify the heal. Like, it'll do the heal, it'll try to do the move, won't damage her, but it won't consume the Foretell. So I can't adjust my healing intensity. Otherwise, I'd be able to do Focus, Foretell, Harvest, and then a weaker Harvest. That would set up my HP beautifully, but it just doesn't work. Grim Harvest heals your whole party for 30%, but for some reason that move, it just doesn't do the heal at all. Even though Harvest does work. So it's just a lot of very wonky stuff that just negates any like strat I've tried to find there. So we're just gonna use a separate fight for setup instead. So shame, but we have to do this the like brute force way. But we do have a fight that we can set up fairly quickly on, so it's not so bad.
So would this be a good time to get in a few more announcements, Zero?
Yes, announce away. I'm just gonna be running.
Okay. All right. Our Hotfix summer merch collection is now live. You can head over to theyeti.com/GDQ to check out our brand new Hotfix shirt, keychain, and sticker pack. Also, Black in a Flash is a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in the speedrunning scene. You can learn more or apply to get involved at gdq.gg/BAF and follow at blackinaflash.bsky.social on Blue Sky for the latest updates. And back to you in your running section, Zero.
Thank you. Okay, we got to find things to talk about while I run through the monolith. So the monolith is just more or less a recreation of all the areas we've been to so far. With one exception. There's one area that's like available at this point, but it's unnecessary and it's way higher level than we are. So we just never go there. That's Frozen Hearts. We'll be there soon enough. We don't do much in terms of pickups here. The only pickup we get is actually this right here. This is another picto called Weakness Gain. The ability isn't all that useful. It's 1 AP on hitting an enemy weakness, but we never really can hit enemy weaknesses from this point on. Because of like the boss fight just naturally, I think they might have like a void weakness or something at most, and we don't have access to that damage type. But we picked that up because it gives us a lot of speed and crit. So it's literally just a stat picto for us, but it's very good. It's like 170 speed and like 17% crit. Very useful. Also, this is the most quote-unquote dangerous part of the run here. There's this like choke point here with 3 enemies. I'm gonna jump around to the side, but movement can be wonky. And if you want to be optimal, you can try to run through the middle, but it's very dangerous. Right now, my
never
party
pull off the middle. It's, very risky.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my menu here. So if you have anything you want to add.
Okay. Something that you may have noticed is that Zero chooses to menu when he jumps down from like a big drop, because after dropping down from a big drop, you roll and you can actually pause during that roll, and after you unpause, the roll will be finished. So you actually like move during the menu a little bit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very smart.
If you want to do it in a more janky way too, you can actually pause, and then while the menu's loading, you can jump forward. But that has its complications, because if you hold up for too long, it'll move you from the character selection to like the journal and inventory selections. So it's pretty tricky input-wise, and you have to do a lot at once, so I try not to do it too much. But it's another way you can like optimize it a little bit more.
How do you know that?
The chroma here.
Also, you're free to jump in this game. It's like the same speed as running, as long as you're already running. But it feels good, especially uphill. I'm not actually sure if it's faster.
When I was playing casual, I was like, man, this feels so much faster when you're going uphill.
Yeah.
It does feel like it, doesn't it? I don't think it actually does make you go faster. I always do it just to avoid, like, because you're more viable to getting stuck on pebbles when going uphill.
Sure.
But yeah, like, I tried timing it once and it seemed like it was the same to me, but I was timing a lot of things in the first beginning week, so I wouldn't be surprised if I was a little bit off.
Some speed games have like these tiny little like movement time saves that are like only really can tell when you like do it over a long period of time. So I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where you'd have to do it for like a while to even notice a difference.
Yeah, one of the games that I run, it's you literally save a frame if you just like pretty much jump sprint continuously the entire time. You save like a frame every jump. So
it could be something like that, or it could be nothing at all. Maybe it just feels faster, and sometimes that's all that matters. It just feels like you're going fast.
Yeah, at the very least, it won't slow you down, so I see no problem doing it.
Yeah.
B-Dude's actually a lot better than movement optimization than I am. I picked up a lot of stuff from him. Like, I did a lot of the... Like, obviously, I think people call this my route when they talk about it, but it's not just my route. Like, there was a lot of discussion in Discord about, like, ideas and stuff. And there are some strats that are definitely adopted from other runners' ideas and concepts.
Yeah, I think movement is maybe like a little overlooked aspect of this game.
Let's keep moving.
Definitely.
But it's certainly important.
At the top.
I think especially in the glitchless categories. In like the glitch category, since there's so many like skips and there are some segments when you have to like menu during movement and unrestricted, it's much more paid attention to there. For us here, it's like, you know, eventually you get that same place anyway. If you lose a second on movement, it doesn't affect the route. It's just you're a little bit slower.
Sure.
So we're definitely, I feel like we prioritize that a bit less. But, you know, for the best times, you still have to have good movement.
Right, yeah.
Alright. I'm really hoping I didn't mess up my stats earlier. There is a chance I did. If I did, I think I can fix it later, but I am a little worried because of that Lab Master missing EXP from earlier. Okay, no. We're fine. And I have a recode anyway, so I'm fine regardless. So, since I missed that Lab Master EXP when I did my Bursto flag earlier, he was a little bit weaker. And, like, one lower level. And because of that, I was worried he might not have the right agility if I didn't adjust it later. And I didn't remember if I fixed it. Okay, so we just learned a new skill of Une called Stormcaller. And this fight right here will be the only fight in the whole run where we use it. And it's an 8 skill point ability, so it's pretty interesting. It's a very unique ability. What it does is you apply it, and then for 3 turns, it'll do damage at the end of each turn, at the end of each enemy turn, to be more specific, and whenever you hit the enemy. And we need it specifically for this fight, because it has a pretty big skip attached to it, and hopefully Vijay can explain that while I do the fight.
Yeah, so this boss has 2 phases. Once you reach half health, after your character's turn is done, after reaching half health on the boss, he basically brings out a lion, and the lion heals him, and you have to go through the whole fight from full HP again. Not only do we want to avoid that to avoid dealing all that damage again, but also because it's like 30-40 seconds for the lion to come out, and that's pretty tough. So yeah, it took a lot of experimentation, but like Zero said, we're going to use Stormcaller here to do a little bit of extra damage each hit. And then we're going to use CL with her Gradient and Sealed Fate to do enough damage to do over half the health. It's very important that we control our damage here. So you have to watch what you're doing. We ideally want to counter once because it makes it a little bit easier. Otherwise, you have to use all your remaining AP to do extra shots. So right there, Zero shot like... is attacking and shot a few times to get the health bar to a specific point, so he knows that Berserk Slash is going to take him right, like a centimeter above half. Then we're going to shoot a couple times to get his health bar under half, and now we know that we're going to do enough damage to get to the end. It's very, very tight.
So pretty much all the damage, like, we have to keep him above half until CL's turn, and then CL's turn we have to finish him with Gradient and Sealed Fate. And he has like about 370,000 HP, so 185,000 HP we have to clear in 1 turn. And you might remember that we have a limit on how many hits we can, like, there's a damage cap, and there's so many hits we can get in a turn. CL can do 17, which is the most, so that's why she's so useful here. But even that, you do 17 hits of 10,000, that's 170,000. So we still have 15k to clear through. And that's where Stormcaller and shooting comes in.
Once we go up,
And the other thing I mentioned, like, he basically transitions after, it's not like he doesn't transition on his turn, he transitions whenever, sorry, 1 second. He transitions as soon as he gets under half HP, with the exception of Gradient. If you Gradient, you have that turn after the Gradient to still keep damaging. So I can't, for example, do like intervention strats. That would not work. You would just like, he would just transition. So only CL pretty much can do what we do there, which is why she's so important to gear up. But
yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize you could skip that.
Yeah, never did I when I first did this.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Strat, to Jan in Discord. And Ashba, he also helped theory craft it, but the Stormcaller version was Jan. That's definitely a strat I did not figure out on my own.
So we've made it to the top now. We're facing the Paintress. This is quite the fight. It's the longest fight in the game, in the run. So Paintress has a lot of health. She also has several phases, and we're utilizing everything we possibly can. And like, we're still at the point where we have that damage cap on us. So like, even with us leveling up over time, like, it's not going to matter because we need to still play to that damage cap. So we're really utilizing everything we can here. And yeah, the damage is tight here too, just like the last fight, kind of, where we have a specific strat where we're trying to deal the exact same amount of damage every time. We don't want to deal too little, too less. And there's specific moves that we even want to counterattack to do a little bit of extra damage. So we got to get our parries right for this fight. You have to get your parries right on this fight more than any other fight in the game. So picked a lot of learning.
You can't betray Verso like this.
And by parrying on this move here, it's going to send her over to the next phase. So she's not going to get a turn at the start of the next phase. We'll have all 3 characters have a turn here now.
Yeah, it's very important. It's routed that way specifically. It's very important that you do that. Because first of all, she only gets 2 moves. Her third move is Rips Reality Apart, and has a super long animation. But on top of that, like with my current stats, the turn order just breaks apart if she gets like an early turn here. And like the fight just becomes a mess. I'm not even sure if I'd be able to win.
Yeah.
So, but first part done. The moves in this part aren't too bad. Honestly, the second move she does, the flying combo, that walled me really hard when I was routing. But I kind of have it down now. Fingers crossed.
I use the visual cues like with her paintbrush.
Yeah.
And like once I figured out the exact spots to look out for when where she's swinging the paintbrush, it became 100% consistent.
Yeah, and something consistent is just like under pressure. It's, you know, you can make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it now. But casually routing wise, it walled me so hard. So I just want to point it out.
Is Verso still alive?
Alright, nice. We win.
Good job.
Thank you.
So from here on out, it's kind of just we dodged everything, all the moves that we need to, and it's just executing the movesets, like making sure that we set things up right and we're doing the right damage. But otherwise, that's pretty much the fight.
Yeah, now we just finish here. We kill by like 10k or so. It's comfortable enough. But we're not done. We have phase 3, and she has one last chance to mess with us. So the fight's essentially over. We can't lose from here. From here on out, she'll just try to heal or protect this. Lune damage doesn't matter, so if she heals her, it's fine. But if she heals Verso, it's a little bit troll. And she healed Verso. That's the only thing she can do to lose me time here, but it's fine. I actually have a new strat here for this too. We can do that. No more attack with Verso. If she didn't heal Verso, I could have skipped the Lune attack. It's not a big deal. And there we go. Almost sub 410 Paintress. Nice. Alright, and that'll mark the end of Act 2 gameplay-wise. So we are going to go into spoilers a bit here, just a bit of a spoiler warning, because honestly, Act 3 is pretty straightforward. There isn't much else to talk about besides story. So we defeated the Paintress. You'd think that the world is saved. We saved Lumiere. No more gamages, right? Well, no. Turns out the Paintress... Turns out the whole world is actually like a world inside a painted canvas. And the Paintress was the one that painted all the humans. And her husband, Renoir, the real Renoir, not the painted one we fought in the monolith, is basically gomaging everybody, trying to get her out of the painting. So this was all started by the death of Verso in the real world. And we're not going to go too much into that, but to cope with their grief, Aileen entered the painting, and painted the humans, painted her family again, like the painted versions of them. Painted the humans, and you can't stay in a painting for too long, like it'll kill you, essentially. Time doesn't happen at the same rate in the painting as it does in the real world. It's like 1 hour to 1 year, so you can stay for a long time, but not forever. Anyway, after a certain amount of time, Alicia, who got severely burnt and disfigured in the fire that killed Verso, she enters the painting to try to help get both her parents out of it. And we also meet Clea there, that's her other sister. And she is the one that's like helping Renoir get Aileen out of the painting, because there's a war with the writers. I'm not going to go into that too long, but they're the ones that actually killed Verso. They tried to burn down their house.
Why would he help?
And Verso sacrificed himself to save Mael/Alicia.
Before I entered, so...
I know this is all convoluted, and I'm trying to explain it in like 2 minutes. It's like, it makes a lot more sense when you play through, like, yeah, especially when you like explore more of the world. But the curator is actually the real Renoir. And he wants to get Alicia out of the painting and just destroy the canvas so he can reunite his family and they can deal with their grief properly. And we want to stop him because we want to save Lumiere. So that's what we're going to do now. So our party members, we had to talk to them all here because, you know, we kind of just betrayed all of them by essentially destroying the canvas by killing the Paintress. Because Verso knows all this. But he's determined to save his mother, and is also like over 100 years old. He is tired of living, so he just kind of wants it all to end. That's his like selfish motivation in all of this. But he does have a bit of a change of heart once he like talks to the party again and like meets Alicia, who is Mael. Mael is the real Alicia. She got painted over when she entered the canvas, so she didn't know this until right now.
Maybe you'll fight.
And they agree to go and save Lumiere from Renoir. Mael was hoping they could talk it out now that his mother's out, and she hid the canvas before she entered. So she's thinking that Aileen can re-enter and problem solved, but it's not. Renoir's still set on destroying it. So anyway, time to create the greatest exhibition in history and save Lumiere.
Let's go.
So there's a question on who the writers are in lore. It's not really explained to us. It's kind of like, so the Desandre family, which is like Renoir, Aileen, Verso, Clea, and Alicia. They're like the painters. They have the power to paint and like make worlds through canvases. The writers, it doesn't explain exactly what they are. They're just like the enemy of the painters. And if you want to be kind of meta about it, you can think of the writers as the developers and writers of the game, because they're the ones that, like, you know, they're the ones that made the script. They burned down the Desandre house and killed Verso. But it could be the meta reference, it could just be a different group.
Very meta.
Yeah. It's not elaborated on, it's open to interpretation.
I'd like to hope that the next game that Sandfall makes is just like a writing game. Like, the plot twist is that it's like within whatever the writers are doing, or however that world works. Yeah.
I hope they take it up a step and add a DLC where it's through the writers, but just text-based RPG.
Would this be a good time to get one more announcement?
Yeah, but this is a lot more running. Feel free.
Okay. All right. So, Frame Fatales, GDQ's all-women and femme speedrunning community, is gearing up for their next event, Flame Fatales, happening September 7th to the 14th. Stay tuned for the schedule release in early July. And speaking of July, if you're heading to SGDQ, be sure to visit the Frame Fatales table. They'll be hosting a frame changer panel and organizing 2 community meetups. You can type !FF in chat to join the Discord and stay up to date with all things Frame Fatales. And back to you, Zero.
Thank you. So a little bit of what's going on here, because it's pretty chaotic. So Mayel learns like the power. Okay, after the Paintress, Renoir gomages everyone. So first step there. So everyone's gone essentially besides Painted Verso and the Mayel, who recovers her memories because her painted side was like the part of her that was painted over was gomage, so she remembered her real self. So she learns to paint essentially after that, so she can now bring people back if she has access to their chroma, which is kind of like their paint / essence. So she brings back Lune Ciel, Minoko, Eskia, and she also like brings back previous expeditions to help like lead the charge on in Lumiere in their fight against Renoir. So that's why you see all these expeditions everywhere. And Renoir kind of does the reverse, and he takes the next expedition and kind of like paints them to fight against us, which is why there's some people around here. But all the enemies here are painted by Renoir. It doesn't tell you in the main story, but the normal Nevrons are actually painted by Clea. And all the enemies here, they're all painted by Renoir. So that's a unique distinction there. Here we see painted OG Verso Soul, kind of playing the piano. Never talked about it here, but Verso preferred music to painting. Not too important in terms of like what we're gonna be able to discuss here, but just a cool scene there. What else do I want to mention? There's just so much to cover in terms of plot here.
This story is really insane. If you're listening to what Zero's explaining right now and being like, damn, this sounds like a good story, you should definitely pick up this game and play it.
It's really good. Even like from the beginning, like with the whole like gamage that happens in the prologue, it really hooks you in. Like I remember the beginning in the prologue, as soon as it showed like I didn't know what was going on. It shows like the 34 and it goes down to the 33 and you realize what's happening. You're like, oh, this world is like screwed. They really need to solve this problem. And it's a really good way to just get you interested right off the bat. And then it goes like this really interesting directions even beyond that.
Yeah, and like I'm springing a lot of this on you guys in like the end game for anyone that's not familiar with the game, but this is all built upon and like foreshadowed really well, and a lot of the world building just makes like so much more sense, and it's like so much cooler once you get to this point and like you kind of realize what's going on. Like for example, a lot of like the world may appear almost childlike, for example, and like Eskie and Francois are kind of like childish, and that's because this canvas was painted by Child Verso. So it explains a lot of like why the world looks like what it looks like and why things are the way they are. It's because it's painted by Child Verso. It's painted by a kid, and it's like you might think it's just like a gameplay element, but it actually fits lore-wise too. I really love that aspect of it. All right, so here Mayel's time to shine again because Stenhole baby. For anyone that's played casually, you're probably familiar with this ability. It's really OP. I actually completely missed it in my casual playthrough until I saw some stuff online about it. But it's super strong, and we are playing on the current patch, by the way. So this is the only ability in the game that got nerfed. It got nerfed by 40% damage, and check out the damage we're going to do here, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it got nerfed, and it's still not... it's still gonna... You'll see. Let's not ruin the surprise.
It's a very powerful ability. But the reason we're able to do this now, first of all, Stenhall was locked until Alicia remembered her painter's side. We had the top 3 abilities locked, now they're unlocked. Additionally, from beating the Paintress, we got, from finishing Act 2, we got a new pick though called Painted Power. That basically lets us break damage caps, so now we're not capped anymore. So now we're single big hits are back in business, and it's Mayel's time to shine again. So this fight's pretty silly. I need to be about 1 HP for the final boss. So we use Last Chance, which brings her down to 1 HP, but I want to start at 1 HP. So we do that, we intervention Mayel, and then we run away again. That's a bit faster than just Doug.
I didn't even know you could run away from that fight.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah. It's like a forced fight, but you can run from it.
Huh, interesting.
It's like one of the only things in glitches that can be kind of debatable, because you could argue that it's not intended to be like runnable, but It's like, that's how it's programmed. You don't have to do anything special. You can just run away.
Yeah, it was up for debate if glitchless should have actually included that as a fight or not. But yeah, game mechanics allow you to flee, so we were like, hey, let's allow it.
So here we use all set again, which gives everybody speed and powerful. We don't really care about the powerful too much. We could have probably done no verso, but all set costs 6 AP, and that's really good for building gradient. Alright, this is really cool. We're gonna stun Hall, but I'm gonna intentionally fail one of them, because I actually want to leave him with a little bit of HP so we don't push the face yet. And then we're gonna push with a gradient attack. This puts her back into Virtuoso stance, and it does some damage. Builds some AP, because it's second turn, and whenever she does a stance change, that also builds an AP. And when you finish phase 1, he gets a full heal, and what normally happens is he summons the Descendre Canvas. And that gives him every buff, including Shell, which means we do a lot less damage. It gives him Rush, so you can hit a lot faster, which makes him like very likely just to get a turn right away. But because we transition on the Gradient, I get another turn instantly, and we're done. So the cool thing about this, in my opinion, is that we purposely nerf our damage by failing in Q2, but still have to one-shot in phase 2. So we nerf our damage, and then we do full damage to get a kill in one hit.
Insanely cool. I love, like we were theory crafting a lot on this last fight before Zero finally landed on this strat. And it just works so perfectly.
Yeah, no G fight was like a fight where you had to like dodge parry twice, and it was like a 255, and it was hard. His moves are pretty hard. Not impossible. Specifically his attacks frenetically, I still don't know how to parry or dodge. But then we went down to like 1 move, then we went down to 0 moves, both with break instead of this, and now we're down to this. And the fight went from like just under 3 minutes to just over 2 minutes. Like a 2:01's my best time now. It's like it's hard to get in much faster than this.
So cool.
Yeah. It's a little bit anticlimactic from a gameplay standpoint, because after Paintress you're more or less done. There isn't like any... Like the fights are all scripted, you know? It's just menu and movement and do the script for the fights. But the strats are really cool. Also, time is coming up very soon. It'll be when the screen fades to black after the next fight. I will call it, but I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So, this is the Verso Stomp time, where we have to choose the ending and the character we fight with. Mael's set up, so we obviously pick her. And every turn that Verso gets, he gets to talk, so we want to make sure we kill him fast. Oh, oops, I missed the kill. Just kidding. Burn. And time. Oh.
Nice.
GG's.
Very
Thank
nice.
you. Not bad. Run could have been a little bit cleaner, but you know, I've never focused so much on commentary during a run before, so I'm happy about how this turned out.
That's understandable. I thought that was amazing to watch.
Yeah, that was a very impressive time with having to redo the entire tournament.
Yeah, that was like 3 minutes on its own.
Yeah, like with that alone, like that's a very low, like 2 hours-ish time, which is incredibly impressive.
For the question of what my favorite ending is, I think the Mael ending is better. So both endings in this game, in my opinion, are really bad, and there's a lot of things that are open to interpretation, both endings, so it's very much how the run, or gamer, I guess, chooses to interpret each ending and the results. I think the Mael ending is better, but I like to joke, and this isn't my joke, shouts to Avocamo, that all of a sudden, when you enter Act 3, everybody becomes a philosophy major and debates the philosophy of each ending in chat, so you guys have fun.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the time here to get into it.
Yeah, the developers knew what they were doing when they were making these endings. Definitely makes you want to discuss them.
Yeah. It's very cool. Go ahead.
I personally am one that favors Verso's ending, so we're on opposite ends. We would be great for debating against it.
Well, I mean, you're just wrong, but yeah, we can debate. I'm kidding. They both have their, like, arguments for sure. I think it comes down to what you value more, like the world of Lumiere or the Descendre family. But even there's so much to like talk about and discuss that we won't be able to get into it.
Okay. Well, that was an amazing run. I'm so glad that I was able to get you on for this, Zero, and I appreciate you being here as well, B-Dude. That was like really great. Do you guys want to give yourself like your shout outs and tell people like what you're doing, what you're up to, where they can find you, and all that good stuff?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for B-Dude for joining me on commentary. For anybody interested in running this, there's a lot of different categories. It's pretty easy to get into. If you are, I recommend going to check out the Discord. It's pretty active. There's a lot of resources there, and a lot of people are happy to answer your questions. And yeah, check it out. You can find it through the speedrun.com page. I don't know if we have a link around here anywhere, but that's an easy way to find that. And yeah, shout outs to that. Shout outs to the community putting in all the work they have on this game. Shout outs to Soundfall Interactive for making this amazing game. Like, it's so good. If you haven't played it and this hasn't convinced you, play it. It's really good.
Yeah. If you haven't been spoiled on the whole game right now.
Yeah. Even with the spoiling, play it.
Yeah.
It's still worth it.
Yeah, it is still really fun. It's a great game.
As for where you can find me, I will be doing more runs of this on my channel, and that's where I spend most of my time. So I think my channel's probably linked somewhere around here. Feel free to check me out if this is something you're interested in. I will have to take a bit of a break to run some Final Fantasy 13 to prep for the FF Relay. But I'll be even if I stop for a bit, I will be doing a lot of this game in the future. I really want to look at expert flat percent. I think that'll be super cool to work on. So expect a lot more of this. But that's it for me. B-Dude, anything you want to say? Yep.
And I'll be doing similar things too. I've been playing this game pretty much nonstop, and in addition to any percent expert glitchless, I've also been doing Simon percent, and I also plan on looking into experts platinum percent and all bosses soonish, probably after SGDQ is over. But yeah, so yeah, you can expect a lot from me and Zero in terms of more expert Expedition 33 stuff. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, shoutouts to B-Dude Simon percent, by the way. Simon's like the super boss of this game. Anyone that's played this casually and fought him, you know how hard that fight is. He does this run in under 2.5 hours. RTA. It's like super impressive. Wow. Shoutouts to that.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it without your route that you do right here. I literally use Zero's route for all of Act 1 and Act 2, and then just do the Simon routing after that, so...
Yeah, the Act 3 stuff's really cool. I like it a lot. I'll probably give it a shot at some point myself.
I'd love to see that.
Future project for sure. But yeah, that's it for us. Thank you for everyone that watched. I hope you all enjoyed. Rigol, if there's anything else you want to add before you
Well, so I just want to go ahead and say thank you to everyone for supporting GDQ Hotfix with your subs, your Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits. Your contributions help keep our shows running. If you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing for exclusive emotes, ad-free viewing, and access to chat during replays. You can also always support the stream by sharing the Games Done Quick channel with your friends. But that's going to be it for the first run, the majority of the show tonight, which was the Clair Obscur run. Very excellent job, Zero and B-Dude. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to transition to a second run, which is going to be very different than this run, but it's also going to be cool. And it's a little bit of a preview for an upcoming SGDQ run. Shout out to SGDQ coming next week. Mitch Riz is going to be doing a run of Get to Work Glitchless coming right after this. So we're going to go on a little bit of break and set up for Mitch's run after this. So if you want to stay around for more speed runs, we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. Yeah, we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Game Over. This is going to be our second run of the show. We have another run, which is, like I said before the break, this is going to be a little bit of a preview to the SGDQ, where we're going to have this run be showcased on that next week. We have Mitch Riz, who's going to be running Get to Work Glitchless. Mitch, do you want to take it away from me and give us an introduction to what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So this game, Get to Work, it's a Faudian game, or more recently, people just started to call them rage games. One of the types of games where you try to get to the top, and if you mess up at all, you're going to fall and you're going to lose a lot of progress. This one's maybe not as brutal as some of the other ones that try to trick you into going from the very top to the very bottom. But yeah, it's a fun one, and it's got a little story about how it's climbing the corporate ladder, and it's very it's funny with the commentary. I'm going to be skipping a lot of the voice lines, of course, because it's a speed run. And glitchless basically means no out of bounds and no like ragdoll launches or things like that. There's various things that can just like rocket you to the very top. None of that, but we are still going to have some cool tech, some cool interesting skips. One thing that the developer basically said they're cool with, so we call it glitchless, which is called top grabs. But yeah, that's basically the run that we're gonna do. So I can pretty much get into it whenever we're ready. The time doesn't actually start until I start moving on the character. Okay. So are we all set up?
I'm ready when you are. Just give us a nice old countdown.
Oh yeah. Okay. So then as soon as it loads in, I'll give you that countdown.
You are poor
and bald, get to work. That's the story. That's what you need to know. You are poor and bald, as you can see. Get to work. All right. We can start the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And right off the bat, you'll notice I'm on rollerblades, and so I'm going to try to keep my momentum. I already messed up the very first trick, but oh well. So we can show up sort of a backup trick. You can climb walls. If you do it just right, you can climb walls by basically spamming. There's a grab button that's supposed to be used as a brake. But if you use it on walls, there are some that you can just grab. So here I'm going to get some speed to try to do a little skip here. Cool. Got it. And then go on this sort of like support structure over here. Ooh. Oh, this is a precarious situation. I'm trying to flip myself up. But the grab that I got, there we go. Okay, one more time.
What is this?
Yeah. So we use the grabbing on walls to basically climb a bunch of spots we're not supposed to be. Here I'm going to get a little speed and use it to go to, this is kind of a dev intended like backup. Like if you fall, there's these little launch pads that can help you to get back up. But I'm just going to use them for a little shortcut here. Boom. And we've skipped already this entire level. We're already at the very end of the first level of the game, just by doing a little climbing. And we go right into the end here. Let me try to not mess this up. I'm going to try to keep speed into the second level, because if I do, I can climb up this wall and use it, nice, to make it into that window.
But just relax and do your best. You're sure to get the job. Congratulations, you've completed the interview process. Unfortunately, the company needs you to do a take-home interview. I see a note here that says, sorry for making you jump through all these
All right,
hoops.
1 second here. Sorry, let me restart that camera. And boom, there we go. All right, luckily you can pause in this game at any time. And it even pauses the timer, the in-game timer, which is real nice.
Okay, hopefully we have a little bit of a better looking video here.
Hopefully. All right. So, here in the these swing sections, I'm basically, you can skip grabbing on each of them, and you can just go straight from one to the next, but for marathon safety, I don't really like doing that, so I can just grab on each and kind of do the intended strat. Here we have a little ragdoll section, and if I get it just right, I can fall in the gap. Oh, that's pretty good, that's pretty good. Nice. Made it all the way down without getting stopped.
This game is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, the story of it is you are, you know, trying to find a job, but then eventually you find a job, but then, you know, oh, they're not going to promote you because then they'd have to pay you more money, and, you know, all this, and eventually you start becoming, like, you know, a middle manager, and then a vice president, and eventually CEO, and it's pretty hilarious. Okay, so here we come up on our first actual tech of the run. This is called a top grab. On these launchers, if I grab the very top of it, I can get a super high launch. Didn't quite get it there.
Whoa, you just flew right over that, didn't you?
Let's see if I can get it the second time. There we go. Ooh, didn't quite get enough height. So the top grabs can have slightly different height depending on exactly where you grab them. If you grab them like a little bit further up or a little further down. Nice. Gets me to the next launcher, which can get me speed here, which can help me climb this wall. And then I just have to mash, grab at the right rhythm here. It's a bit tricky, but there we go. We've got it. And this is a recovery launcher. This is one added by the developer to get you back up. You're not supposed to just get there from below, but we found a way. And then I do another top grab here. And boom, we're already at the final few jumps of this section. Oh, oops. It's that one. Go again. Here we go. Very, very thin rails in this section. One of the few places that it's relying more on precision. Most of the game relies more on speed, but this one section is a little bit more precision focused. Another thing we're going to do a lot here is just little cuts of like, you know, it wants you to go from block A to block B to block C, but we just go straight from block A to block C. You know, they don't save a lot of time, but it does add up when you're skipping a bunch of little things that you don't have to quite land on. All right, awesome. And made it into the next section.
So how does this game feel in terms of movement? Because some of these like rage baity games have like notoriously like difficult movement to perform, even on things that seem easy.
Yeah, this one actually feels quite nice. Really? It's I would describe it almost as feeling like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or like a monkey ball. Technically, the physics of the game is you are just a sphere, even though you look like a guy. The physics engine just calculates you as a sphere. And it does actually feel pretty good, even casually. Yeah, didn't quite get a skip there.
It looks pretty cool. Like some of these games, it's like the movement, like you're fighting against it so much. It's not even necessarily that it's like tough to do the actual stage, but the movement itself is so hard. But these
nice,
look
gotta
like
skip there all the way up to the top.
These look like actually difficult stages.
They are. Yeah, I would say this is definitely one that focuses more on legitimate keeping your speed and difficulty as opposed to just like really, you know, obtuse controls. Yeah. You know, you're not swinging a hammer around in a pot or anything like that. Let's see if I can get this skip. Ooh, nice. Got it. So I had to keep speed, bounce off the pillar, and kind of come back up. That's supposed to be a little recovery platform again. You'll notice that's kind of a theme here. We take the things that the developer used as like safety or like, oh, if you fall, you can get back up. And we instead use those just to get up the first time. Because as long as you can reach that recovery, you can get up a lot easier.
So is this like a built-in like a split timer into the game?
It is, yeah, completely by the developer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not maybe exactly where you might, you know, split or do things if you were doing it through the speedrun community, but it's really nice just to have it built into the game so you don't have to install anything else to start going.
Yeah.
Right, here I've got a skip where I need to keep as much speed as possible along this jump, because I'm then going to try to like ride all the way up to the top of this section. That looks like enough speed. And boom, it was more than enough. Let's go.
The company wine mixer.
The company wine mixer. Yeah, so I kind of, you know, we've glossed over the story, but I already not only got a job, swapped from a job to an unpaid intern, became a junior financial analyst, and now got invited to the company wine mixer, where now I'm trying to become a middle manager, where we're heading up to the interview for the middle manager.
Okay.
So we are climbing the corporate ladder quite quickly here.
Finally, the company opens up a single middle management position. All you have to do is beat the rest of the applicants.
Okay, there's a cool skip here. There's actually a bunch of skips in this area. I'm doing the easiest version, which maybe doesn't look that easy, especially when I mess it up. Oops. But yeah, there's like 4 different versions of the skip in this area, each getting more difficult, but faster than the last. All right. Nice flip up there. And just get a little bit of speed. Okay, now we're back. One more skip for this section. I basically just need to keep speed off of these sloped parts, and then I can use them to just launch myself to the end. Ooh, that was a little slow. I can climb, though, if I'm very precise with it. Not the fastest backup. Okay, there we go. And made it through. That is a notoriously difficult section. That is one that even the world record holders will tell you. They reset on a lot. They also do like a harder version of the strat than I do, but that one is notoriously difficult, the middle manager interview.
The prestige
Yeah.
of middle
It's hard to get those middle manager jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
Own office with a view.
And then once you're there, it's a confusing maze of
By the way, if your team
something. The whole game is like it's got
a metaphor.
a metaphor for yeah.
Yeah.
But here we're gonna basically skip it all again with another top grab if I can do it right. That one was a little low.
Feels like a confusing maze with no clear path forward.
Need to avoid that platform above us. Boom, keep our speed. Go around. And nice. All right, almost done with middle management. Just a bit more. Actually, I guess technically middle management continues into the next section as well, but oh, nope. That's not going to do it. Okay, as a backup, I'm going to need to drop down here and take this little boost pad up. Let's get another try at it. Luckily, yeah, this game, unlike other, rage games, if you fall, oftentimes you're not falling, like, all the way down.
Yeah.
Like, I literally could not get back to the first level at this point.
Yeah.
The lowest I could go is just the bottom of middle management.
And you said there's, like, some recovery jumps as well to get you back up to speed.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are even, like, intended that you use to go for secrets. There's some, like, podcasts that you can collect in this game, which is pretty funny. And so sometimes you need to basically like jump out of the normal path to go grab the podcast and then use that sort of recovery section to just get back to where you were. Here is the second hardest skip, at least for me, in this run, where I'm going to try to grab this one, not a top grab, just a regular grab. And then I have to keep a lot of speed into a ramp section. Let's see if I can get it. Ooh, oh, I actually kept too much speed. That's a rare one. I actually bonked my head because I kept too much speed there. That's a funny one. But we basically could have made it all the way up to the top of there. And instead, I'm just going to do a little backup here.
Actually suffering from your success.
Yep. Luckily, though, even if you miss one skip, we've got another skip. Who needs to play the game normally? So we just keep some speed here, bounce off of that, and boom, we're up.
You did it. You pulled
and then this skip, the developers actually knew about in development that you could just possibly crash this wall and come up here, but they thought it was impossible. They just didn't test it well enough. You can literally just crash the wall and climb up, and it's super easy.
You're still convinced that.
All right, another top grab here.
Absolute degenerates. But he was such
top grabs are a little precise. That's why you'll see me sometimes be a little too early or a little too late. They're not like frame perfect, I think, but they are pretty precise. All right, nice. Use that to get up here. Oh, didn't quite get this version. I've got a little backup here, though. A lot of the movement in this is like keeping a lot of speed. So if you do a tiny little bump or somewhere doesn't go quite where you're expected, sometimes you have to like completely redo it. Here, I've got a precise setup to jump from this exact spot to keep the right amount of speed. We actually slam into the side of that boost pad rather than taking it directly, and that redirects us upward and gets us a little more speed to get up here. This jump is intended. It's actually one of the harder jumps in the speedrun, and it's actually just the intended jump by the developer. They actually made like a couple of really hard jumps in this.
Just as you thought, they need a new VP. And as the first candidate to apply without a criminal record, you're instantly chosen.
All right, one thing to mention for top grabs is I'm actually changing the FPS of the game down to 45 because that actually gets you further launches with top grabs. So you could do the top grab at any FPS, but at a high FPS, it basically doesn't do anything. But at a low FPS, it'll give you a lot of speed. We limit it to you can't go below 45 because otherwise you can just like do super ridiculous launches. But even at 45, we can get some pretty cool ones like this, where I jump above this, go back into it with some speed. Boom, make this nice jump. And here, instead of doing the normal way of like skating along these and going up there, we actually just want to intentionally go to the little recovery platform down here. And I'm going to try, this is the hardest skip in the game for sure. This is called Quint Skip. But basically, I need to land very precisely on this edge section to bounce up this way and try to get this. Okay, didn't quite get it. I need to land not directly on this bouncy platform. I need to hit the diagonal sloped section before it so that it can redirect me upward. And then I can keep that speed and go really, really fast. But it's really hard. I'll give it a few tries. If I can't get it, I'll do... There's another way we can do. Okay, a little too fast again. But it is, even the world record holder will tell you, they've only got maybe like a 10 or 20% success rate on this skip. It is super difficult. If I could get it here, that would be awesome. Oops. Didn't quite avoid the bounce pad there. Ooh, that one feels pretty good. Oh, just barely too fast. Luckily, you kind of have infinite tries as long as you don't fall all the way down.
Yeah.
Because again, these are recovery bounce pads that just get us right back up to try it again. Ooh, that's a little too high again. Okay. I think I'll just do the sort of more normal recovery way. This was an actual world record strat before. So it's not like it's that slow, it's just it doesn't get you all the way to the top. So here I'm gonna get onto the sloped section of this one. Oops, completely missed it. Oh, I actually need to do a recovery to my recovery. One more time. Hey, but for our troubles we get a podcast, so...
Nice.
The grind set.
The grind set.
The grind set.
Today's episode is about multitasking.
I like the vibes
It's
of
about
this
going on a
game.
legal defense while you go on a content offense. It's called multiple income streams. And if you're not doing that while handling
Alright,
your
you got this,
day-to-day,
bitch.
you're missing out on 3xing your net worth.
Okay, there we go.
Mr. Chaz, you are aware that recording in court is illegal, correct?
You know what's legal, Your Honor?
Ooh, do I have enough speed? Not quite, not quite. That's okay.
Is not illegal. But
We go back one more time and we'll be able to make it up here. If I had gotten the Quint skip, we'd actually get all the way up to CEO at the top. Instead, we're just going to need to go through this one last section. Should only be about a minute or two. And then we'll be at the top.
The only real warning is how Kentucky's due for a price drop. And if you're not switching from a buy and hold strategy to a flip strategy in the market targeted regions, you're going to be left in dust.
Guards, please remove
Alright, there's a
the phone.
couple of easy jumps, and then it ends with like a really tough jump. And this is the one section of the game where they like sort of take off the training wheels, and if you fall, you are falling very far.
Okay.
So this is the one that casually you can get stuck. You can do like the rest of the game in a few hours and get stuck in just this final section for like half of your total playtime of this game.
Yeah.
Alright, so here it is, the CEO jump. I'm going to try to get basically to the top of this section to get as much speed as possible. And then try to keep that around these curves. Nice, and we got it.
Nice.
All right, CEO. We have climbed the corporate ladder.
The board of directors have voted, and
Now we're
And there
finally
we go,
in charge.
time.
The journey is over.
Nice. Well done, Mitch. That was very interesting. I didn't know what to expect from this game going into it. I seen a little bit of like gameplay of it, but that was really interesting.
Yeah, as a speedrun, it's super fast paced. It's very fun and honestly pretty easy to get into because you can start by learning some like easy skips and then start building those harder skips on top of it. But yeah, it's a cool one. Shout out to the Get to Work speedrunning community. They're awesome, and that about does it.
I think it's really cool that they have like some like speedrun accessible stuff built into the game as well to just like get more people into doing it.
Yeah, it actually even launched with a speedrun bounty. There was, for the first 2 weeks, the fastest person after, each of certain days, got some money. It was really cool. The same person actually ended up winning every single leg of that. It was like, oh, day 1, somebody gets money. You know, day 3 or something, somebody gets money. And then after 2 weeks, somebody gets money, or something like that. And the same person won all
dominated.
3.
Nice.
It was Karam is just really cracked at this game. And even today, there was actually just a new world record like yesterday, or maybe I guess technically today if it was after midnight. So it still has a lot of activity, a lot of people going at it, and yeah, it's a fun run.
It looks fun. I might try to play this game casually after looking at that. And like, I'm someone that is like had issues getting into some of these games in the past, but I don't know. This one looks a little better than like Getting Over It, which like destroyed my wrist completely.
Yeah,
Like,
no, this one, luckily, all it is just WASD and camera. Like, it's very simple. Or if you're a controller, you know, it's obviously just the 2 thumbsticks. So if you have had trouble with some of the previous ones that are, just trying to kill your hand. I remember a difficult game about climbing. I had wrist pain for like days afterwards.
Yeah.
But this one, no problem with that. I'd say if you're going to start into a rage game, if it looks like fun, this is probably a good one to start with.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mitch. Do you want to like close us out with like some shout outs for yourself and tell people what you're up to nowadays?
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest thing is I'm going to be at Summer Games Done Quick coming up here in just a week. And so you can check me out there to see this run again, as well as Sekiro All Bosses Glitchless that I'll also be performing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Really excited about that. Other than that, I usually do Soul stuff, more so than like rage games. So I'm doing, you know, Elden Ring Night Rain, or just regular Elden Ring, or Sekiro, or all that. Yep, super fun. So yeah, but that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Mitch. Well, that's going to conclude our show for today. That was another amazing episode of Game Over. I have been your host, Regal, and we will be on a little bit of a hiatus because of SGDQ, which is coming up next week. So we'll be back not in 2 weeks, but I think 3 weeks from now on the 21st. So it'll be a little bit before the next show, but we'll see you there. However, the Game Over is coming to an end, but make sure you stick around, because after the show, there's still going to be more speedruns. There's still going to be more hotfix. We have Think Fast coming up right after the break. So make sure you stick around for more GDQ Hotfix speedrunning right after this. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a good night.